The fifth round of the 2014 Blancpain Sprint Series sees the teams and drivers head to the Algarve in Portugal. The undulating circuit is a real challenge for the drivers, and it usually provides some exciting racing. But first of all, let's look back to the last round in Slovakia. Poleman Cesar Ramos got a poor getaway in his Audi, and that led to a chain reaction at the first corner with a number of cars eliminated. One of them, the championship challengers, Harry Prochik and Jeroen Bleekemolen, out at the first corner. Ramos there on the left-hand side as we look at the replay of the start. Involved in that was Enzo Eid, and also Nicky Meyer-Melnoff went off into the tyre barriers in the early stages as Alex Zanardi was working hard, he losing out to Marc Basseng in the Phoenix Audi. And that contact meant that Zanardi had to come in to pit with a left rear puncture, and he was out of the race. The Fortec Mercedes had made a good start, running in fourth place in the early stages, but they soon lost out to the HDP Mercedes. And there was the evidence of the damage from the first corner on Cesar Ramos's car, which was severely affecting his handling. But he was the next man to make it past Miguel Toril in the Fortec car up the inside into turn 9 as the Mercedes started to slip back down the order. Vincent Abril had a little look to the inside but wasn't quite close enough to pass the Fortec car. As the pit stops came, it was the 84 machine of Nico Verdonk and Maximilian Goetz that took the lead of the race. Caca Bueno was frustrated. Laurens Vanthoor was now at the wheel of the number 1 car, and he decided to do some rally crossing on the exit of turn 2. He managed to emerge unscathed. A mistake from the race leader then allowed Sergio Jimenez to sweep past and take the lead of the race. A charge was on with Lucas Wolff as he tried to force his way past Alessandro Latifi. But Sergio Jimenez in the 0 BMW was the man in the lead, but not for long, because Dominic Baumann surged past him with a superb move around the outside of turn 6 on the penultimate lap of the race, and it was the Schubert BMW team who took victory, seemingly from nowhere, in only their second event in the Blancpain Sprint Series. Dominic Baumann and Thomas Jaeger onto the top step of the podium in Slovakia, but it's still Maximilian Goetz in the HDP Mercedes that leads the championship. Slovakia was yet another frustrating weekend for Laurens Vanthoor and Cesar Ramos in the number 1 WRT Audi. They won the qualifying race as they have done on previous occasions this season, but it's not coming together when it matters.
It's actually more frustrating than even disappointing, because we qualified the car in every race on the front row with 2 pole positions and 2 qualification race victories, and somehow on Sunday we don't manage to get any result. I think we learned in the last couple of races it's not only about being quick, because we've been quick the whole season, but we have to gather our points together, and that's our main focus at the moment.
After Thomas Eng's spectacular crash last time out, the Reiter engineering crew had to build up a whole new Lamborghini. This weekend they're also part of the G-Drive squad with Roman Rusinov.
As I said, the car is quite damaged, but luckily, I survived with all the safety around me, the roll cage, the seat belts. The safety is just amazing on the Lamborghini, so I actually came up from the accident without any injury. At this moment, we feel like Lamborghini is the car to have on this circuit, so we'll see throughout the whole weekend, but at this moment we are very positive.
BMW Team Brazil had their strongest meeting in Blancpain last time out at Slovakia, almost winning the main race, with Sergio Jimenez losing out with just a few laps to go. But they know it may be more difficult here in Portugal.
It's a bit tricky for BMW here, because we have turns with second, third gear. That's not our best, but I think we will not have a good qualifying, front row or something like that. When the race we're growing up a lot, so that's my expectation, that we grow a lot in the race and that we can fight for a podium and maybe for a victory.
The Bitec McLaren squad have been gradually improving so far this season, and Giorgio Pantano has made some incredible starts, not least last time out at the Slovakia ring, where he went from 20th to 4th at the first corner. This weekend though, it may be more difficult for he and the team.
We have some issues with the car at the beginning of the season, the first 4 races I would say. We probably find the problem, but we are new on this championship. We are competing with a very strong team, but I believe on this weekend we can be a bit more closer. I'm sure we can do something well this weekend.
They only made their Sprint Series debut in Zandvoort, but Dominic Baumann and Thomas Jaeger have been mighty impressive. Second in Zandvoort and winning the race last time out at the Slovakia ring. Will it be the same story this weekend?
Here at Portimao, the BMW should be quite competitive. The fast corners, we are really good there, and in slow corners we have to find our way, to find a good setup. But overall, it's always a fast car. We won last time, and also with the Pirelli tires, we should be quite good.
After missing the previous round in Slovakia, Max Buch is back at the wheel of the 84 Mercedes alongside Max Kurtz. But now that he's missed out on the points from Slovakia, his main focus is going to be helping Ghost to the title.
I think I would try to help Maxi as much as I can because I can't really reach his score of points. I think every race is a bit of a new story. As every main race we have a different winner. So I think it's a bit difficult to say who can be the main rival or not. We just focus on ourselves, and I think that should be the best strategy we have.
Currently leading the Pro-Am standings is Alessandro Latifi and Marc Basseng. Latifi has been learning from Basseng in his first real season of GT racing, and last time out at Slovakia they were running towards the front. They'll be hoping to perform similarly here in Portugal.
That was the first situation we've actually been near the front, so obviously the pressure was quite high for me to bring the car home safely. So for sure, there's now that I've been there and I know what it's like, for sure I've got more performance to give.
The Portuguese squad Sports Anew are entering two Mercedes into their home race. Both cars will be in Pro-Am. Antonio Coimbra and Luis Silva sharing one SLS. Paulo Pinheiro is in the other, sharing with Francisco Moura.
It's very nice. The Mercedes here is quite good. It's quite a good car. I enjoy driving about this car, especially here because it's a good circuit to the characteristics of this car. And I think that we have all the things to do a good result here.
To all teams, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. Five minutes to go.
5 minutes, 5 minutes. Feel great, feel great.
Okay, Lorenz, 3-minute signal now. Okay, Stefan, in 1 Minute geht's los.
And green light, green light.
Atenção na largada, boa corrida.
Cars coming into final corner. They're with the starter, and we're green.
Go, 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 go!
A very good afternoon and welcome to Algarve in Portugal for the qualifying race ahead of the 5th round of the season in the Blancpain Sprint Series. My name is Jack Nichols. Alongside me here in the commentary box is John Watson. John, yesterday we had glorious sunshine. It's not quite the same today, but it's still pretty warm.
It's still warm, 27.2 Celsius, 33.7 on the track. But look above you, there is a dirty big black cloud. It's sort of hovering over the top of the racetrack. We don't think it's going to dump its precipitation. We never know.
So the cars are making their way now around towards the final corner here on the formation lap. They're starting to line up in their side-by-side formation, and it'll be Thomas Enge on pole position in the orange Lamborghini, the G-Drive Racing Lamborghini. The red light's about to go out. The qualifying races go here in Portugal, and it's a good start for Jeroen Bleekemolen by the looks of things as they make their way down. Thomas Enge on pole position has got away well, but Bleekemolen's into the lead of the race. Looking up the inside there is René Rast, but it's also a good start from Max Buch, and René Rast is going to get through into 3rd place. All the way around the outside goes for the other WRT Audi. I think that's Laurens van Thor, and oh, that's a big moment. I think that was Ortelli in the 9 car who really hit the curbs hard, and that sent him out wide, but everyone's safely through the first few corners. I think Ortelli might have got a problem from that.
Yeah, into turn 1 and turn 2, there's a problem at the back of the field. But one of the Audis, that may have been Laurens van Thor, went right off racetrack and almost tried to make a position. I don't think he managed it, but certainly that's what I'm talking about. Abuse, in his case, more force majeure.
So through the hairpin of turn 5 they come, and now climbing up through the left-hand kink of 6. But our race leader is Jeroen Bleekemolen. 2nd place is Thomas Enge. 3rd is René Rast. And 4th at the moment is Maximilian Buch, as they all wind their way now and start to climb the hill. Oh, the two Royal BMWs have hit each other. Zanardi coming together with the 34 car, which has been started by Colombo.
Left front suspension is
broken. And that is a disaster for the team. So up now they come towards turn number 14, and then into the right-hander of 15 that sees them drop down the hill and through the incredibly quick final corner and out onto the start-finish straight again. So, and there's going to be contact there as well. And that is Alessandro Latifi sent spinning.
And he's caught the right rear of the McLaren. It's also not 2 cars. Certainly the McLaren isn't going to go very much further by the looks of that damage. Audi may be able to get going whether there's a tire contact. There is the BMW. That was on the exit of turn 8. McLaren has managed to get a spun around, but I think there's damage to that right rear.
But now look, the battle's on for second place. Thomas Enger under a lot of pressure from René Rast now as they come through the uphill left-hand flick at turn 5. Down towards the hairpin of 6. Thomas Enger will surely try and cover the inside line under the heavy braking zone. The Audi really strong on the brakes, not so quick in a straight line, looks to the inside, but he's not quite close enough as they come into the left-hander and now start to climb the hill again.
Down the inside, that's a great pass by the BMW. The
Baumann going past Lazowski.
Yep. So that good clean pass, that's what you can do.
Safety car has been deployed.
I'm not surprised, there's traffic and cars all over the place.
And here's a replay of the start. Bleekemolen just got a better getaway and took the lead of the race. Enger managed to do well to hold on to that second spot, but it's this middle black Audi here. Keep an eye on that. It gets passed by Vanthor around the outside and then goes to the inside of the Mercedes. The Mercedes then closes the door and Ortelli's forced over that curbing on the inside.
In fairness, I think you have to say Stefan Ortelli was being somewhat aspirational and believing he was going to get that position. Where there's again a closing gap, the Mercedes was going to take its line and the Audi wasn't sufficiently far forward, gets well and truly airborne, and no doubt when it crashed down, not doing the left front suspension or any of the suspension any good at all.
So Jeroen Bleekemolen managing the pace, managing the safety car restart here because the safety car has pulled in. Bleekemolen drops the throttle and away he goes. Let's see who can stay with him as we go back racing here in Portimao. It's a good restart from Vanthor. He's right up the back of Max Buch, and Max Buch actually has lost a few positions as they flash through this final corner. Absolutely fantastic to see. And then there's a big old gap back to the Audi there. So Marcus Winkelhock, I don't know what's happened to him, but he must have a problem. He's coming into the pits.
Yes.
Has Winkelhock got some sort of puncture
I think he may have a puncture. His car looks slightly unstable, didn't look at racing speed coming through turn 15 as we go back to the front of the field and the 2 Lamborghinis. The big loser there was Maximilian Buch, as if he was getting caught out. There, the second and the McLarens, and Dominic Baumann in the BMW having their own little private battle, and the BMW much quicker on the exit of the corner, mainly because I think McLaren took the sort of the line that was
and they were all
good for overtaking, but not necessarily quickest line.
They were all held up behind Winkelhock was the problem, and so that created a really good overtaking opportunity because obviously no one could pass Winkelhock before the safety car came in. So that means Chris van der Drift is up into 8th place in that McLaren. 9th behind is Dominic Baumann. 10th is Mateusz Lazowski.
What a
he's got
pass.
Sergio Jimenez trying to go around the outside, but he's unable to do so. So Lazowski holds on to that 10th place. Well, it's not as simple as a puncture, is it? There's been a bit of concern. This is a bit of action, isn't it? Up the inside, this is still the battle between Lazowski and Jimenez has finally made it through. Nelson Piquet might try and follow through as well as they come down into the right-hander, and he does so well. Lazowski's trying to hold on around the outside. That is good stuff from the pole, and he's managed to hold the place. That's going to compromise both of them, though. Here comes Stefan Landman in the Grasser Racing Lamborghini behind. Can he try and take advantage of that battling? He looks to the inside, and yes, he's going to get both of them. Is he down into the hairpin? Good work from Stefan Landman. No, Lazowski's still there, still holding on. Good racing. Down towards the hairpin they come, and watch out for the Audi just behind this lot. Here we go, and it's Vanthor who holds the place for the time being. Good racing in the middle of the pack, and this is good news for Thomas Enger because he has now managed to sprint clear up in second place.
Dusseldorf trying to get along, but it's the wrong side of the racetrack to go up into turn 7 and then back in on the gears, down the brakes into turn 8. That's where the contact occurred, and very close indeed between the nose of the Mercedes and the tail of the Audi, but they managed to do it without contact.
The pit stop window is now open. I'm not imagining any of the top 7 or 8 to come into the pits, but we'll wait and see as they stream across the line now. It's less than half a second for the lead of the race. Jeroen Bleekemolen against Thomas Enger, and what a pair to do battle that is. So experienced, the pair of them, so quick, and this is going to be a very interesting battle of wits.
Well, I think we'll again see the BMW and the McLaren down into turn 1. Again, the problem the BMW has got, it is basically, of all the cars here, it's the slowest in a straight line. Quick off turn 15, that's where it's gaining the advantage, but we can't do very much with the McLaren. It's just too soon. Let's look and see how much of the track. Now that is exceeding track limits.
Into the pits comes Maximilian Buch then. He's coming in to hand over to Maxi Goetz as they come down towards Turn 1.
And you know what's happened? That's released now Laurens van Voor, who has been really trailing the Mercedes all the way through. Now he's got clear air. He's sort of going to laser into the back of Thomas Enge in second place Lamborghini.
So we're at the halfway point in the race, less than 30 minutes to go, and it's your own Blancpain leading the way. Thomas Enge there second in the G-Drive Reiter Engineering Lamborghini. Third place and fourth place are the two WRT cars of René Rast and Laurens van Voor.
Who's going to blink first?
What a big moment!
Oh, he got
Thomas
into
Enge
squirrely.
and that loses him second position and third position as well. What a big moment that was for Thomas Enge. He held it all together, but has he now lost the chance to battle for the lead of the race? He's side by side with the Audi as they come down the start-finish straight, but Van Voor will have the inside line and he'll move through into third place.
Well, I'd like to see a replay of that, because it looks like Thomas Enge turned the car in quite aggressively, but the back said, sorry Thomas, ain't going to watch the back of the car. There she goes. He had to get out of the throttle on that one, because otherwise it was going to continue going round, and René Rast said, thank you Thomas, I'll take that any day of the week.
All over the back of him now is Stef Dusseldorp. There is reports of rain on the circuit, and I think that might even be a bit of sort of rain you can see on the camera lens, and here comes Dusseldorp. He's going to get the inside line, and he's going to take fourth place away from Thomas Enge. The Mercedes goes through, and Enge goes down into fifth position now. It's going to be slicks for the G-Drive Lamborghini, and slicks really at the moment the only option, because the rain is nowhere near properly coming down. The track's nowhere near wet enough. But now we're going to have some action in the pit lane, because all of these cars are going to have to peel to the right and come into the pits. Look at those clouds, and that was a lot of speed taken through from Van Voor. So in they all come, and basically the man we're going to be waiting for, and look how close Dominic Baumann is now to the back of this lead pack, having started well down the grid. But the man we're going to be looking for is the 84 Mercedes of Maximilian Goetz. He's going to be the man to watch. He's in ninth place at the moment. He's in the second sector as it stands, but will he be able to get out anywhere near these guys up at the front? There's Enge handing over to Rusinov.
Yeah, I'm trying to look out of the comedy booth, which is literally facing the start-finish straight, to see if those black clouds are actually doing anything at all, hovering over the racetrack. It looks dark in turn 1 and around turn 2. Hasn't rained heavily enough to make anybody concerned. There's the Lamborghini rolling. Ferrari project, great pit stop from the whole team.
So then out in second place will come Enzo Eid. He looks like he's pulled out behind Harry Project, but where is the Mercedes?
There it is.
Is that it there, just coming through on the right-hand side? No, it's not. It's the older, it's the Pro-Am Mercedes. This is the one to watch out for, coming down the hill now. And it is going to be the lead of the race for Harry Project, but it's second place now for Maximilian Buch, who's now handed over to Max Goetz.
The key is he's up to speed. Harry Project's just left the pit lane. He's got fresh rubber on. He's going to be gobbled up by the German, if not into turn 4, but into turn 5 at the hairpin. He's got the momentum. He's got the warm tires. He knows what the car feels like and handles like. Harry Project's going to be looking in the mirror wondering, what can I do to defend? Well, he can really try and outbrake the Mercedes, but Goetz up the inside should have the drive off the corner.
He's done a good job there.
But Harry Project certainly is not afraid to put his foot in it.
Thumbs up from Stef Dusseldorp. If Max Goetz keeps doing that, he could get telling off.
And also Enzo Eid doing the same thing. Maximilian Goetz driving the Mercedes. Maximilian Buch watching, you could see his face thinking, ooh, my teammate needs to be careful not to do that again. Again, Maximilian Goetz beginning, as we look again at the replay of Maximilian Goetz, runs wide. Not only runs wide, he gets all 4 wheels over that red and white track, if you like to call it delineation.
Team manager of car 28 and 27, i.e. the Grasser Racing team manager, which is Gottfried Grasser, has been called to race control immediately, and there is Gottfried, and he's not quite on his way. He's about to take his headset off and head up to race control by the looks of things. Down towards the final corner comes our race leader, Harry Project. They've won 2 qualifying races so far this season at Brands Hatch and at Zandvoort. There is Ombar running behind, and he's got Enzo Eid about to make a move on him. The blue flag's being waved for the back marker as they come across the line with 16 minutes to go. Enzo Eid still the same, 2.7 seconds behind. Cesar Ramos not really putting in much dent on Enzo Eid's advantage. They're lapping very similarly. And he's now going to pass the... That's all got a bit close in there, and do they touch? That got very, very close as Enzo Eid was trying to lap Antonio Coimbra. But here's the lead battle down into turn number 1. 5.5 minutes to go. Still Enzo Eid comfortably clear of Cesar Ramos in 4th place. Thomas Jaeger, has he managed to start to close in again on Roman Rusinov? No, not really. It's still about 5.5 seconds. In fact, he's got Vincent Abril right up behind him still. And Bueno and Stumpf are still right together for 10th and 11th places, with Basteng and Stempentis in that crew as well. So battles throughout the field, but the race lead is very, very close at the moment.
Maximilian Goetz has.
This is Vincent Abril trying to get past Thomas Jaeger in the battle over 7th position. Abril right up behind the BMW as they come down to the hairpin. Will he fancy a look to the inside this time around? Not quite.
No,
Abril is leading the Silver Cup, but the car behind is second in the Silver Cup, Lucas Wolf. So this could get very interesting, especially with the straight line speed of that Mercedes.
Yeah, I mean, not that the Thomas Jaeger is deliberately letting the Audi draw up to the back of the BMW, and of course letting the Mercedes draw to the tail of the Audi. Thomas Jaeger is doing the best he can to try and run down the 6th place Roman Rusinov in the what was pole position Lamborghini. And Vincent Abril, he's very racy, looking to dive down the inside. Not a good place to do it, and the door firmly shut by Thomas Jaeger. But Vincent Abril needs to be aware that behind him he could have a challenge and a threat to what would be the lead of that class.
8th place at the moment for Abril, 7th place with the BMW in front, which is Thomas Jaeger, and then behind is Lucas Wolf in the 2nd HTP Motorsports Mercedes, 3rd HTP Motorsports Mercedes, I should say. Currently 2nd, 5th and 9th the HTP cars as they come out onto the start-finish straight, all of them going very wide on the exit of the final
Thomas
corner.
Jaeger particularly was well and truly off the racetrack. Just quick look into the faces of Vincent Vance and Pierre Dudonné, as again the BMW has to be defensive on the entry into turn 1.
Oh, I thought he was going to go for the outside there, Abril, but that could compromise him, because here now surely will come Lucas Wolf. He's not quite close enough, but another moment like that and Wolf will be there to try and take advantage of that, I think.
Yeah, that was, I mean, testy stuff for Thomas Jaeger and for Vincent Abril. There was almost a point where I thought Abril could make the cutback into turn 3, but he didn't really have quite the ground to do it. Down again into turn 5. You can see the front of the Audi as it patters over the bumps in the braking zone as they come down that hill. So Mercedes dropping back fractionally from the tail of these two cars battling, currently over 7th place.
Gap at the front is down to 0.6 of a second, but it's still, oh, here's the overlap for Abril. Has he managed to get it out of the corner? It's a good move from Abril, but the next hander's a left-hander. He's going to try and go all the way around the outside. Great stuff from Vincent Abril. Now he'll have the inside line, and the WRT Audi goes through. We saw Abril flying at the end of the qualifying race in Slovakia, and he's doing it again here.
And that, as to me, is the overtake of the race so far. To do it around the outside of turn 9, up the hill into turn 10, takes, believe me, a lot of commitment, and that was what you just watched there. Young man, fully committed and going for it. Credit to Thomas Jaeger, he could have squeezed and pushed him. He didn't do it, and that was good motor racing.
On to the penultimate lap of the race now, with Harry Project leading the way. Maximilian Goetz is behind him in 2nd place as they turn through the right-hander once again. It's these two who have been untroubled really, and only that one real attempt from Maximilian Goetz to get past in the early stages. They come down towards the hairpin, and possibly a little bit more rain out there coming just towards the end of the race. Not even towards the end of the race, it pretty much is the end of the race. But
on the straight, so he will maybe try to pass us directly before for turn 1. So that's why the situation happened that many cars are side by side before turn 1. And it's always, in a race driver's mind to gain some positions, and everybody wants to gain position, and that's why sometimes little accidents happen.
Now, do you think, Rene, if a driver at the end of a race was given a bill for the damage that he caused, that might actually improve situation?
Maybe, yeah, for sure it would improve situations.
But you wouldn't want to be part of that, would you?
I would not race anymore, for sure.
Have a good one, enjoy it, thank you.
Great to hear from Rene Rast there, down with John Watson on the grid, and Rene will be taking over that car in the second half of the race. It'll be Enzo Eid who will be starting that car, and there is the Belgian driver, the bespectacled Belgian, about to put his helmet on and get ready for the start of this race, which will begin in about 15 minutes time, as René Rast then goes on for more interview responsibilities. It's all very busy down there on the grid. There is the number 1 car of Cesar Ramos and Laurence Van Thor, who have really been one of the quickest drivers pairing so far this season, but they're only in 6th place in the championship. They had pole position in Nogaro, they had pole position at Brands Hatch, they won the qualifying races in Nogaro and Slovakia, but they've only managed to amass 39 points. They've had a best result of 4th in the championship races so far this season, so it really has been difficult for them. And we can now hear from Thomas Enger and Roman Rusinov. They have been joined together for the first time this weekend, and they were John.
Thomas, first of all, I like the new colour scheme.
It's beautiful. I mean, for me, the most beautiful Lambo ever made in those colors. It is fantastic. Thanks to G-Drive in this orange color. You know, we are really proud that we can represent this.
Let's move on. Now tell me, you made, in some ways, the most exciting move in the race yesterday when you nearly lost the car on turn 15. Was it as exciting for you as it was for us?
I thought it's over. I didn't expect the car come back. I don't know how I managed it, but I tried my best. I fight until the last moment, and luckily I got it back, but it was a big moment. And yeah, we were struggling with rear tires, unfortunately, but I hope we got it right for today's race. But yeah, 6th place is not what we wanted yesterday. We're trying to get to the front today.
I mean, we saw the incident, but as a driver, you turn into the corner, everything looked normal, then suddenly the back end breaks away. Talk us through the exact, everything happened.
Well, usual stuff, you know, with me. I don't lose the car in a slow corner. I usually lose it in a corner over 200 kilometers per hour or around this number. Obviously, there was a strong wind in that corner, and it was affecting the air of the car. I turned in, I had a slight oversteer, but then over the crest, it became even more oversteery. And at that moment, I thought, you know, it's over. But for some reason, once it's landed after the crest, it got grip in the rear again, and I was managed to go around the corner. I lost 2 places. I lost some speed, obviously, but luckily I saved the car, and I hope it was exciting for spectators as it was for me.
Excellent. Thanks, Thomas. It was great for us as well. Hope you have a good one this afternoon.
Cheers, mate.
We're here in Portimao in the Algarve circuit for round 5 of the 2014 Blancpain Sprint Series. The main race is going to be getting underway in about 15 minutes time here at this spectacular undulating circuit. It really is a circuit that provides some very entertaining racing, and it's going to be hopefully another hour of that coming up later on today. My name is Jack Nichols, and alongside me in the commentary box will be John Watson. He's currently down on the grid speaking to the drivers ahead of this main race, where the top of the championship is separated by just 16 points. Maximilian Goetz and then Harry Projek and Jeroen Bleekmolen are currently 2nd in the championship. Yesterday they managed to hold off their championship rivals to take victory, and it was Harry Projek and Jeroen Bleekmolen who managed to fend off the chasing HTP Motorsport Mercedes of Max Goetz and Maximilian Buch, and they took the checkered flag in a very, very hard fought race yesterday. You can see the just 0.8 of a second between the 1st and 2nd place cars at the finish line, and we're hoping and we're anticipating an equally intense fight today. So we can now hear from Maximilian Buch, the man who will be in the 2nd place car on the grid. He's with John Watson.
Maxi Buch, front row of the grid, but your partner starting, and you've got the quickest car in a straight line.
Yeah, I don't think that we are faster than the Lambo on the straight line.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, a bit.
Yes, you are. I've checked the speed trap times.
Yeah, but we were in the slipstream.
No, Maxi, no, Maxi, I don't want any of this rubbish from you.
Yeah, but we will see. I don't think that we are fast enough to have more than a car length in front of the Lambo before the first corner. Yeah, we will see. I think we have a good chance to be in front of the Audis at the start, because they are not so quick on the straight line, and yeah, we will see.
I mean, the start's going to be in a few minutes' time. It's a rolling start. Everybody knows what they got to do. I mean, has Max Goetz got enough in your car to maintain position and maybe get slightly ahead into turn 1 and avoid contact into turn 1?
Sure, we have a Mercedes. No, I think we should be quite quick enough to stay minimum on P2 to defend our position after the first lap or after the start without contact, and then we will see. I think that we can put the Lambo a bit under pressure, maybe that he will do some mistakes or have to change his strategy over the pit stops, and then it's our time.
Good to see you back. Many thanks.
Maximilian Buch missed the last race in Slovakia, and as a result, Maximilian Goetz is now the man at the top of the championship on 91 points. So it's basically Buch who will be trying to help Goetz to win the title this season. There is the Silver Cup pole position for Vincent Abril and Mateusz Lisowski in the number 4 WRT Audi, and they're currently in 7th place in the championship. Overall, it's been a very strong season for the Frenchman on the pole, and they are going to be starting in 7th place on the grid, and it'll be Vincent Abril, the Frenchman, who will be starting the race, and he has been really impressive over the past few races. Yesterday he pulled off the move of the race. Last time in Slovakia he was making an awful lot of positions up as he climbed through the field. The 19-year-old Frenchman who doesn't really have much racing experience. 28.2 degrees the air temperature, 34.5 degrees on track. We haven't really had the nicest weekend here in Portugal. I don't mean to complain too much, but you can see that it's been pretty cloudy all weekend, and we've had drops of rain throughout the day, throughout yesterday as well. But this circuit is really one that tests the drivers. You can see all the undulation there, and that is a real challenge. It's the closest thing really to a roller coaster that you can get as far as a race circuit is concerned. We're nestled in the Portuguese countryside, just about 25 minutes north of the town of Portimão. We can now hear from Nelson Piquet Jr. He'll be starting in 10th place on the grid for BMW Team Brazil.
Nelson Piquet Jr., nice to be in Portugal. Fala Português?
Of course. Tem que falar pouquinho, né?
Yeah, I understand that too. Anyway, what are your thoughts this weekend?
Well, I mean, it's good to be here with a Brazilian crew, Last time
That sounds chilled and laid back, like you're on the beach, really.
No, not really. I mean, last time I had a Brazilian crew like this was in England, doing a British F3 championship, so it's good to be in Europe and fighting against European teams, and but a whole Brazilian crew is a Brazilian sponsor, Brazilian driver, so it's fun. I mean, it's a good atmosphere, it's a good championship. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, you race in America and all forms of motor racing. Coming back into European, almost road racing, doesn't take much to adapt to it, does it?
No, not at all. I mean, obviously these cars are a bit different. I don't have many miles in these BMWs, but it's, it's just like any other race car. You just need to adapt yourself to different kind of car, a little bit heavier, a little bit more power, and it's just all fun.
And no influence from your naughty dad, is there?
No, my father is he's teaching.
Long away in Brazil.
Yeah, he's taking care of business in Brazil.
You know what that means?
Not making more babies, I hope, but just working in his own company, working for his retirement.
And your future. Well done. Hope you enjoyed today. Thanks, Nelson.
Thank you.
John Watson, ever inquisitive down on the grid there with Nelson Piquet Jr. There is the number 5 car, which is going to be the lead Pro-Am car, started by Marc Basseng, who finished second here when the GT1 World Championship raced here a few years ago, leading home or finishing second in a 1-2 with the all-inkle Mercedes outfit. And the grid now starting to be cleared. We've got 9 minutes until the start of the race, as everyone is now making their way off and into the pit lane, just leaving the drivers and the mechanics on the grid. Ahead of the 1 hour race, there will be a 10-minute pit stop window between 25 and 35 minutes into the race, and we can now go and hear from Alex Zanardi. He had a difficult race yesterday. He's 14th on the grid.
Alec, you just said I brought you luck last time. I hope I bring it to you today. Yesterday's race was disappointing, that turn 8 incident.
Very difficult, very difficult. It was just a question of staying in there and hoping for other people's misfortunes, but I'm not wishing anybody any bad luck, but I hope I can be lucky today and I can go home happy.
Well, you say in life you make your own luck, and if anybody can do it, you're the man.
I don't know. For sure, we try to make our own luck, making some setup changes. The car seemed to be good, so I hope I can gain some spots.
I'm going to let you get on with your day job. See you later. Have a good one.
That's all.
Alex Zanardi there with a new gold roof. As you can see, cycling, hand cycling world champion, defended his title in the time trial just last week in the handbike world championships, and he's continuing his focus as well on towards Rio 2016. So let's have a look at the grid as they are lined up. On the left-hand side, that's the pole position car, and it'll be started by Harry Procek. Alongside him on the front row, the HDP Mercedes of Maximilian Goetz. Then we have the two Audis on row 2. Cesar Ramos on the right-hand side there, Enzo Ede on the left. Fifth on the grid, Sergei Afanasiev on the left-hand side. He is alongside Roman Rusinov in the G-Drive Racing Lamborghini. Then we've got Vincent Abril and Lucas Wolff. And then the two BMW Team Brazil cars, Caca Bueno starting the 0 car on the right-hand side, and on the left-hand side, sorry, and on the right-hand side there was the car that Nelson Piquet Jr. will be driving, that he's sharing with Matthias Stump. But there's Alex Zanardi on the right, Dominic Baumann and Thomas Jaeger on the left there in the 76 BMW. They were the winners last time out in Slovakia, and they had a strong performance yesterday until Thomas Jaeger spun at the last corner, and so they'll be starting down in 13th on the grid, looking to climb up the order. And then we have cars that ran into trouble yesterday. Nicky Meyer-Melnoff starting that 6 Phoenix Audi after they ran into gearbox problems. David Fuminelli will be starting this 34 BMW after he collected Alex Zanardi yesterday, and he will be starting almost at the back of the grid. No, he will be at the back of the grid. In 21st place alongside him is Francisco Mora there for the Sports and U Mercedes, which are two new entrants this weekend. The Portuguese pairing out here with Paulo Pinheiro and Francisco Mora in the 71 car, and in the 72 car Antonio Combra and Luis Silva. So the grid is now being cleared. About 30 seconds to go until the green flag lap gets underway here in the Algarve. You can see the drop down to the first corner, always very spectacular. And as far as new circuits go, this really is a challenging one. And this is the sort of view that the driver's going to be getting. Again, we've got those menacing clouds above us. Will they have any impact? They dropped a little bit of rain yesterday, but not enough to really affect the surface. But maybe it will be a little bit more dramatic today. We have had a brief spell of rain earlier on. But the green flag lap now is waved, and away pulls Harry Procek in first place in his Grasser Racing Lamborghini as they head down towards the first corner. Only 2 rounds to go after this. Zolder and Baku, 16 points between Maximilian Goetz leading the championship, starting second in the race, and Harry Procek and Jeroen Bleekemolen, who are in second in the championship but starting on pole in the race. You get 25 points for winning and 18 points for second position. So in theory that gap could come down to just 9 points if it finishes as it starts, but we've got a long way to go around this Algarve circuit as the cars head around now down towards the hairpin. Let's have a look at how they will line up ahead of the main race here in Portugal. On pole position then, Harry Procek, alongside him on the front row, Max Goetz, the two championship challengers, locking out row number 1. It's a WRT second row, Enzo Ede starting ahead of Cesar Ramos as they desperately try and make their good pace into a good main race performance. Sergei Afanasiev and the new G-Drive Lamborghini of Roman Rusinov will start in 6th spot. Vincent Abril and Lucas Wolff are starting on the next row of the grid. Those are the two cars battling at the front of the Silver Cup. An all-Brazilian row number 4 with Caca Bueno ahead of Matthias Stump. And then we've got Marc Basseng starting ahead of Stem Pentas in the Bitec McLaren. Marc Basseng is the first of the Pro-Am cars. Thomas Jaeger in 13th on the grid. Then Alex Zanardi, 14th in his new livery for this weekend. 15th on the grid, Aman Ibrahim ahead of Sasha Halek in the second Grasser Racing Lamborghini. 17th place on the grid will be Fabian Hamprecht, hoping to make up for a poor result yesterday when Stefan Ortelli went off at the very first corner. 19th on the grid will be Nicky Meyer-Melnoff. He'll start in front of Fabio Anidi. Again, those two came together yesterday in the qualifying race. And then Francisco Mora and David Fuminelli complete the grid here in Portugal. John, the cars making their way around now. It's all about this championship battle.
It is very much, but one thing that's going to come into play is, as I was walking back down the pit lane, very, very strong tailwind for everybody as they come down the pit lane. That also means in turn 15, the critical corner where Thomas Sanger was explaining what went wrong, the wind is going to affect the cars at the most critical point where the cars are just in that transitional phase. So that's something to keep an eye on. Also, rumours suggest that it is raining between the A22, the main route that goes east-west, and the racetrack, and to the far end of the circuit rounds, turns 1, 7 and 8, black clouds. So we saw weather have a small impact into the qualifying race yesterday. It may well have an impact here this afternoon.
On board with Caca Bueno as he gets ready to line up in 9th place on the grid. He pulls just in behind the HTP Motorsport car of Lucas Wolff in front of him. He'll be side by side with his Brazilian BMW teammate. On board with Alex Zanardi. The top 2 in the championship are in the top 2 places on the grid here in Algarve. Harry Procek chasing Max Coates for the lead of the championship, and it's Procek who has pole position ahead of this 1-hour main race. The 5th round of the 2014 Blancpain Sprint Series about to get underway. There's one of our onboard cameras. He's with Caca Bueno as they will now crest the hill. They'll see those red lights and they'll wait for them to go out here in the Algarve. There we go. Here we go on board with Bueno. Who's got the best getaway as they charge down towards the first corner? It's Harry Procek. He's away in the lead of the race. It's 2nd position for Max Coates as they come down to turn 1. Great start from Roman Rusinov in the orange Lamborghini. He's up into 3rd place as they dive into the first corner. Everyone looks like they're safely through, but it's Harry Procek who has the lead. He's got Coates right up behind him. Not quite close enough then. 3rd for Rusinov. 4th is Sergei Afanasiev, I think, in the HTP Mercedes. 5th place is the WRT Audi of Cesar Ramos. So the 2 Audis that started on the 2nd row of the grid have lost a number of places as we go on board with Caca Bueno, right up behind Mateus Stumpf, his teammate, looking towards the inside line on the way down to the hairpin of turn 5. Not close enough, but Harry Procek did a good job and he's in the lead, very, very deep on the brakes from one of the Sports and New Mercedes, but Procek did the job he needed to do.
Absolutely perfect start from Harry Procek, got the advantage, used that pole position and just outgunned the Mercedes-Benz of Max Coates, who was unable to do anything. I'm delighted to say somebody in these cars is listening. All 22 cars got through turn 1 without contact.
Looking a little bit wide there though was Dominic Baumann as he got pushed out to the outside. Thomas Jaeger, my apologies, starting that car, and look at that, he's getting past. Oh, I think he's got a problem. He must have a front right puncture there, and so that's a disaster for Thomas Jaeger, winner of the last race in the Slovakia ring, but he looks like he's picked up some sort of puncture and is dropping back down through the order.
Indeed, that was something we didn't see maybe in turn 6, turn 7. Cars did get close. We didn't see if there was any direct contact. Takes so little to cut down the sidewall of a race tire, and for Dominic Baumann in the car right now. What a disappointing start.
On board we go with Caca Bueno as we head now towards the final corner, but there's our race leaders. They are nose to tail, and Maximilian Goetz is pretty close to the back of Harry Procek. Over the crest they come to complete the first lap, and Procek knows it. He's driving right in the middle of the road, so he can go defensive if necessary, and I'd say he might need to, because here comes Max Coates looking to the inside line. Procek's going to hang on around the outside, and he does so, but they both go off the track limits, and that's going to be an interesting debate.
Certainly Harry Procek, in a sense, he was forced to go wide. He had one option, to lift off, let the Mercedes go through, or hold position, but then having to run wide on the outside of the track. That'll be reviewed. I think it'll come down as a racing incident, nothing ventured and nothing gained by either driver or car. But certainly, while there has been no contact that we have seen, very close racing down the outside this time for Max Coates, again trying to make the cut back, and Harry Procek, the drive off the corner of the Mercedes. Lamborghini, we saw all the mirror of this yesterday when Procek made his pit stop, but this time Coates has got it.
He might have done it here. Harry Procek holds the inside line. Coates was so close to the back of him. Now he'll get the inside line into the next right-hander, and he's forced his way past. Procek is still going around the outside. Brilliant driving from the Austrian. Somehow he's managed to hold the lead of the race, but we're on lap 2, and he's already under massive pressure from the Mercedes behind.
And I mean, great, Coates again trying to dive. You can't really do that there because you don't know where the racetrack is and where the off-track ends. So Coates pressuring right now at every opportunity. Harry Procek, the Czech driver, doing an outstanding job to resist this pressure.
Now out they come towards the right-hander of turn 14. 180 degrees this swings around, and Roman Rusinov there in 3rd place, just keeping a watching brief on this battle. We saw the Brazilian BMWs, they lost out to Lucas Wolff in all that battling in the 86 HTP Motorsport car, but out of the final corner they come once again. Procek leading the way. Surely he needs to cover the inside line a little more than he did last time. Let's watch him. He's heading over the start-finish line, checking his mirrors, putting his hand out the window for a little bit, but he's holding the lead of the race by just under 0.3 of a second at the moment.
Yeah, and a slightly poor exit onto the corner. You can see what's happened. Max Coates is suddenly all over the back of the Lamborghini. Can he move down the inside? The Lamborghini just closes the door, but Max Coates putting pressure on. Don't know quite happened to Harry Procek. He lost momentum just at the exit of the corner, which gave Coates and the Mercedes that opportunity to get almost alongside into turn 3.
Down towards the hairpin of turn 5 they come. Here comes Gertz. Now surely he's got the job done. Project won't be able to hold that one around the outside, and Maximilian Gertz moves into the lead of the race. Roman Rusinov now will be the next man to try and get past Project, but maybe Project can stick with the Mercedes. But the championship leader, Maximilian Gertz, has found himself in the lead of the race at the main race here at the Algarve as the safety car is deployed moments after the change for the lead, and that's frustration for Max Buch. But it's better to be in the lead when the safety car comes out than behind.
Absolutely, and that's a pass that Max Gertz tried all the lap and a half, 2 laps.
Oh, and there we go, it's an Audi.
Yes.
I think that's the Silver Cup Audi being
Vincent
started
Abril.
by Vincent Abril.
Contact with is that the Fortec Mercedes?
It is. So I'm not quite sure how those two would have.
Well, that's up at turn
together.
Into turn 9 and turn 10. Turn 10 and turn 11.
Yep, it's Aman Ibrahim and Vincent Abril, and they've both been pretty heavily through the gravel.
Yes, they have, and in fact the drivers abandoned both cars, probably in their case very wisely so, but that's why the safety car has been deployed, and it didn't really last long.
So let's have a look at the replay of the start. Harry Project got a good getaway and he immediately took the lead of the race. Max Gertz tried to follow him. Look at the two Audis getting swamped in the middle there from the second row. Project did a good job. Rusinov did a good job to get him into third place, and Sergei Afanasiev making it through as well. So the two Russians following each other through the first corner. Everyone else was safely through. Marc Basseng was looking pretty racy around the outside, but it was the real bunch up into turn number 3. Everyone managed to avoid each other. Fabian Hamprecht going around the outside. He's now up into 13th place, having started in 17th, so he's made up some positions. This is on board with Zanardi, John.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real traffic jam, and he has put almost a lock on. Either he did get tagged, or he might have caught the inside right wheel on the curb on the inside. This is the view again from the Team Brazil, the Zero car going down into turn 1. He's got a little bit more space around him, but you see Dominic Baumann then fills that space, but the car goes out to the left, and the BMW, the Zero car, is able to, that's Cacabueno, is able to find clear air, clear racetrack, which is what he was thinking about. Thinking that he did tag the back of the BMW ever so slightly, or the Audi, I should say.
So the safety car deployed, as you can see the flatbed truck making its way. Oh, and there's trouble for the 30 BMW Team Brazil car. Matthias Stump has had to come into the pits.
I just wonder, was that more than a 2-car incident up at the top of turn 10?
Maybe it was, unless it was Stump and Jaeger that came together on the opening lap, and that's why Jaeger had his problem. He's been into the pits, as has Matthias Stump, but yes, we'll have to find out later on what happened to Aman Ibrahim and Vincent Abril. But they are both out of the race, and that's why the safety car has been deployed here at Algarve.
Done a good job to get those 2 cars. In fact, one of them had to be lifted away. The other one may have been able to be restarted and get back to the pits. But the track at that area now is clear. Looking at Vincent Vaz, Pierre Dudonné and Thierry Tassin, the management and the brains of the WRT Audi team.
On board with the number 1 car of Cesar Ramos, the safety car will be coming in this lap. So Max Gertz slows the pack down, and then in a minute he'll stamp on the throttle, and Harry Project will try and go with him. He's going very slowly around turn 14, but now he gets on it. We go on board with Project in second place, and that's a good restart from Maximilian Gertz. He's got a decent advantage as they come through the final corner. The man who hasn't got a great run is Cesar Ramos. He's got Enzo E right up behind him, and again the 2 BMW Team Brazil cars are right with one another. As they come across the line then, racing resumed after a very brief safety car period. It's half a second between Gertz and Project. Marc Basseng going super defensive because he's getting attacked by one of the Brazilian BMW cars, who, which is Cacabueno, of course, because Matthias Stump has been into the pits. And they come, and I think one of the Audis had a problem there. Yes, Cesar Ramos was off on the inside of the first corner, wasn't he? And he's now dropped all the way back, so that number 1 car came across the line in 5th place. He's now just slotted in behind Sten Pentas in 10th.
I'd like to have a little look at that one again, down into turn 1, always a busy part of the racetrack, especially after a restart. Everybody jockeys for position, and the GT car vision is not maybe quite as easy as it is down into turn 5. It's just a traffic jam. It'll be like this for a couple of laps. The Royal BMW runs way off track. That's certainly exceeding the track limits, but in these circumstances, probably be given a bye because it's the first lap of the restart.
This is Fuminelli battling with Fabio Anidi as the cars crest the hill and then drop down into turn number 9. That then takes them back up the hill towards 10 and 11. And there is Fabio Anidi in the Vitek McLaren up behind Fuminelli. Fuminelli actually is looking quite racy, and oh, look at that, we're almost going 3 wide as trying to force his way through there was Francisco Mora in the Sports and New Mercedes. Good to see those guys looking a little more racy this afternoon.
Well, that might be called local knowledge. I mean, somebody who's racing here all the time will know where you can actually stick your car, particularly in a racing situation, and that was an example of it. You wouldn't have seen many of what I would describe as the regulars in Blancpain Sprint or Enduro attempt to move like that.
Through the final corner come the cars. Thomas Jaeger has just set the fastest first sector of anyone, but he's 45 seconds off the back of the pack because of that pit stop for him.
Fresh tyres, of course, so that gives him an advantage, but of course he needs more than just an advantage of fresh tyres.
Here's Wolf coming past Afanasiev. Oh, the two HTP cars hit each other. They are not going to be happy about that. Lucas Wolf trying to go up the inside of Sergei Afanasiev, and it's not ended well, and as a result, Wolf has now reversed back into the gravel trap. That's Lucas Stoltz furious, but he just let the car roll back, and now he's ended up beached in the gravel.
Yeah, I mean, he tried to make a move on the Afanasiev into turn 1. That was always going to be very close, always very challenged. So there's the second of the two Grasser Racing Lamborghinis, an incidental battle, but to go back to the incident at turn 1, to me, it was the fault of Wolf. He should have just backed out and given themselves a bit of space, and the contact consequently got the car up in the air, the second of the Mercedes up into the air, and that is not permitted to push a car wide like that, side by side.
Meyer Mernhoff taking 2 positions there. He went past Antonio Combra and Stefan Landman, and now Stefan Landman is trying to get past Combra, and this is all over 15th position, and I think there's a problem there for Antonio Combra.
You can see the car just suddenly a big bobble, and whether he caught something on the track or whether that was possibly a flat tire going down, but he seems
to have got it back again. So
Landsman's also got a problem. He's suddenly slowing down, so whatever the contact occurred, it may have affected both these cars.
Max Kurtz, meanwhile, has pulled out a 2-second advantage in the lead of this race. And now, oh, Enzo Eid, look. Enzo Eid is there as well. So we saw Cesar Ramos drop back, and Enzo Eid is now down in 18th place. So the two Audis must have come together.
They would have come together in turn 1. We didn't catch that on a replay, but we have to assume that the reason why we saw one Audi going slowly, the other Audi way down the field, was that they may have come together in turn 1.
Okay, so Maximilian Götze is leading the way. Then the 2 Lamborghinis behind of Harry Pochak and Roman Rusinov. Sergei Afanasiev is still in 4th, despite that assault from his teammate Lucas Wolf. 5th place is for Marc Basseng. 6th now is Caca Bueno. Stem Pendas up into 7th. 8th is Cesar Ramos. So those and has Lucas Wolf got a problem? Or is he just recovering? He's letting everyone back.
No, I think he's got a problem with that car because there was a big contact with the curb. The car got airborne. It came down very heavily on one side. So I suspect there's more than just simply a bit of dirt and gravel on the tyres of that Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah, or he could have potentially just been pushed off.
Here we go.
The replay goes up the inside.
He would feel, actually at that point he had the corner, but once the commitment was made by as an athlete, yes, it was never going to be a happy result.
But then here he just lets the car roll back. That's what. Look, he comes off the brakes,
yes, he's off
lets
the brakes
it roll,
at this point,
and ends up beaching himself.
Yeah, he didn't intend to do it,
no,
but it's the outcome of the consequences. So he didn't intend to put the tile and the sunshades up as he went into the gravel track. And so Landsman's coming out. That was a tyre cut, I suspect, in the contact that we saw with the Mercedes-Benz up at turn 8.
So out of the pits comes Landman. He'll be now well down towards the back of the order.
Clips the white line on the exit. These guys just sometimes don't learn.
Race leader Maximilian Götze, and he is 3.2 seconds clear of Harry Pochak. So that Mercedes looking very strong here, and if they were to take victory, that would end up taking their advantage up to 23 points, I think, at the top of the championship, which would be very healthy with only 2 rounds to go. As we watch the number 9 car there of Fabian Hamprecht right up behind Alex Zanardi in the battle over 9th position. All fairly line astern at the moment. And up in front of Zanardi is Cesar Ramos, who finds himself behind the Bitec McLaren of Stem Pentas. So this is a good run from Stem Pentas, up in 7th place in the McLaren that hasn't been particularly strong and doesn't look particularly strong here as they come down to the left-hander. And interestingly, Sergei Afanasiev has been handed a drive-through penalty for his part in that collision.
Yes, I mean, on reviewing it, clearly the other Mercedes of Luca Wolf was alongside. Afanasiev just then shut the door on the racing line. He felt that he had the corner. The other car, Luca Wolf's car, was there. It doesn't vanish. It's not a magician. and that was the reason why he's been given that penalty. He's been adjudged to be the fault of Sergei Afanasyev.
There you can see it, drive-through penalty for car 85 at the top of the screen for causing a collision. So we've already had 15 minutes gone in this race, only 10 until the pit stop window opens. And there in third place is Roman Rusinov with Afanasyev behind him, so that will promote Mark Basseng up into 5th position, and up into 4th position, and then 5th place for Kaka Bueno. No further action for the accident between the WRT car of Vincent Abril and the Fortec Mercedes of Aman Ibrahim. No further action after their incident at the top of the hill.
Well, go on, catch your breath. I mean, this end of the racetrack, nice, bright, sunny. Far end of the pit straight, and the corners around there, you probably have to take your sunglasses off, it's that dark.
Max Gertz, as we've seen drive-through penalty for Sergei Afanasyev, Max Gertz is really rocketing away at the front of this race. He crosses the line to do a 1:45.697, and as we see Afanasyev coming into the pits, that means he's built his lead gap up to 6.4 seconds at the front of this race. Really impressive from Maximilian Gertz. He's lapping a second a lap quicker than Harry Procek behind.
I mean, the simple reason is that he's got the clear air, he's able to drive the racetrack, choose where he wants to put the car, and right now you have to say Max Gertz, regardless of whether a Mercedes or a Lamborghini is the quicker of the two cars, you have to say Max Gertz is the quicker of the two drivers. I mean, a great job by Harry Procek. We saw that in the qualifying race yesterday. We've seen it in Slovakia and elsewhere. But when it gets down to what is professional motor racing, Max Gertz is the professional driver.
Absolutely. Back straight they come, down towards turn number 5. And this is the battle between Francisco Mora and Niki Melnov, the 71 Sports for You Mercedes. As I say, it's been a big step up to join the Blancpain Sprint Series for their home race, but they're starting to get into it now, battling with the likes of Phoenix and Niki Melnov over 13th position at the moment. Melnov is right up behind the Portuguese racer, got a much better exit as they climb up the hill out of turn 8. Wonder if he can do anything with that up towards 10. No, not yet.
Yeah, but remember the Mercedes has got that 5.5 litre V8 engine, masses of torque, and if you have a good traction, lots of torque, you're going to drag the car up out of those uphill corner, the exits of those corners. And again, it's a little bit of local knowledge, but at this level, at this point, it's not going to really pay too much advantage. As Niki Melnov will be probably building ahead of steam as he is wont to do.
Fabio Anidi is now settling into a battle with David Fuminelli in front of him. And here comes that squabble in a few cars' time. There's Fuminelli, and there's Anidi, and then behind him is Lucas Wolf, but Wolf is further down. He's a lap down after his spin and trip into the gravel. What's Niki Melnov got here as he comes out of the final corner and across the line? A message from the race director saying track limits must be respected, and I was speaking about this earlier with the race director, and he doesn't want to ruin the race because of track limits. So if you go off a couple of times, no worries. It's only if you gain a clear advantage that it will be penalised.
Yes, I mean, we've seen a number of incidents already where drivers have been not just offline, they've been about 2 car widths offline. In some cases, as we see there coming out through the exit of turn 4, is that an advantage to any of those drivers or cars, or is it just motor racing? You can do it until you get the warning, and you get 3 warnings, then you will be penalised. Coming out of turn 5 also is a favourite spot to overrun the exit of the corner, the track limits. It's an increasing issue, it's a bugbear of mine, that the track limits are there to be observed, and you're meant to drive within them, and you're not meant to use it to your advantage. And even you might sometimes claim force majeure. There are other options available to a driver.
Here we can see the gap coming down between Alex Zanardi and Fabian Hamprecht, and Hamprecht is going to try and make a move. This is the battle over 8th position. Hamprecht having started down in 17th place after Stefan Ortelli went off the circuit on the first lap yesterday, and Hamprecht trying to climb back up the order.
Yeah, it's interesting watching Hamprecht. What he's trying to do, he's trying to position his Audi in such a way that he gets the benefit of the exit of the following corner. He did it coming through turn 10 and turn 11, but there wasn't any space to find a way past Alex Zanardi. Now really between 14 and 15, nothing to do. Through 15, you just really hang on and hope that you've chosen your line cleanly and you don't sort of get caught by a part of this strong tailwind that's following the cars all the way down. Yes, Alex Zanardi just having to wipe some of the sweat. He's almost looking more. Yeah, I mean, you can just see the circuit has changed in character. The bumps that this track initially never seemed to have. Now that everything is settled, it's settling, following the sort of the contours of the natural topography, and it is a bit bumpy out there.
Single-seater drivers complain of headaches from the start-finish straight because it's so bouncy.
I said that yesterday.
Did I? Well, I'm just repeating myself. Nothing new for you. So 40 minutes to go here in the Blancpain Sprint Series at the Algarve. Max Goetz is now leading by 9 seconds, 9.5 seconds now after the first sector of this lap. He is absolutely on it, comfortably the quickest man on the circuit. Sten Pentus is at the moment the second quickest man on the track. He did a 1 minute 46.6 on that last lap. So the man in 6th position will be closing in on the back of Caca Bueno before too long.
Yeah,
so Sten Pentus really impressive in the McLaren.
Let's not forget, he's in the McLaren.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't often get to say something that's really strong and positive about the McLaren. We did a bit last year with the team with
Sebastian
Loeb.
Sebastian
Buemi, but not Buemi.
Loeb.
Yeah, I'll get it there eventually. Yeah. So it's good that the McLaren has found some competitiveness, and of course Chris van der Drift will be in that car later. So quality drivers coming to the team.
A spectacular final corner at Algarve where we saw Thomas Enger have a big moment yesterday. There is the second place car of Harry Prochik. Roman Rusinov is pretty close to the back of Prochik by the looks of things on this lap.
Interesting, just watching the two Lamborghinis, the Grasser of the first of these two cars, the Reiter car. I think the Grasser car looks the more compliant as it comes through the corner. The Reiter car looks like it's a bit stiffer across the front. It's just lifting that inside front wheel. Now whether that is to its advantage or detriment is difficult to tell, but there are subtle differences between the setups within what the car regulations allow.
39 minutes remaining. There is the battle we were talking about. Sten Pentus currently in 6th place, chasing down Caca Bueno in the BMW Team Brazil car in 5th place up in front. And then in front of them is the Phoenix Audi of Marc Bassin, currently leading the Pro-Am class. Maximilian Goetz has just set the fastest first sector of anyone, and his first sector was 0.8 of a second quicker than Harry Prochik behind. So Maximilian Goetz is absolutely flying out there in the HDP Motorsport Mercedes.
Yes, and what can you say? They've got straight line speed, they've got two great drivers, they've got the car hooked up as Alex Zanardi.
Hamprecht is past. Hamprecht has got past somewhere on this lap because they crossed the line with about half a second between them, but Hamprecht has found a way past, so he's now up into 8th position.
Yeah, he's been working the back of the BMW for the last 3 or 4 laps to try and find that way on board with Alex Zanardi. So comes into turn 14. No, that goes on to turn 11. Then the roller coaster ride down and small compression through turn 13.
Next man who's again joining this fight is the Mercedes that's a lap down, Lucas Wolf, down in 20th position, but he'll still want to get involved in this scrap, no doubt, and try and make as much progress as he possibly can. As they come out now and towards the final corner, once again, the HDP car that had a drive-through penalty for Sergei Afanasyev has emerged in 16th position, some 9 seconds behind Antonio Coimbra up in front of him. So here comes the attack from Lucas Wolf, not for position, he's just unlapping himself from the 11th place man Fabio Anidi, looking to the outside at the first corner and goes all the way off the road.
And if that is a pass, it'll have to be given up. It's not a pass, whether he backed off and let the McLaren take its position, but he's certainly back on the tail and giving it a slight assist as they come through turn 3, then up the hill, turn left, through turn 4. He's going to have a little look down the inside into turn 5 if he's got the drive, which he thinks he's got. You can see him, he thought better of it this time and didn't. The McLaren late on the brakes, not giving the Mercedes any chance to give that little look down the inside.
This is Roman Rusinov, who's been caught by Marc Bassin in recent laps. There's only 0.4 of a second between them in the battle now for 3rd position. Harry Prochik is 1.6 seconds further up the road from these guys, and then it's now 12.4 seconds to the race leader Maximilian Goetz.
One more lap and I think you're going to see this red, or orange as it is, Roman Rusinov driven Lamborghini coming into the pits, because pit lane will be open in just 1.5 minutes time, and that's just under the time it takes to do a lap. Thomas Enger, no doubt, will be suited and booted and helmeted and whatever to get into the car. Of course, same will apply to Harry Prochik in the second place.
Bassin's got the inside line at the second part of 14. They almost touch each other there as they come now into the final corner, but Bassin was very close.
But no banana.
No banana just yet, but let's see what he's got down the start-finish straight. The Audi tucked right up behind the Lamborghini as they come across the finish line. This is the battle for third position, and just a tenth and a half between them as they cross the line. Also worth keeping an eye on Caca Bueno. Basseng looks to the inside. Caca Bueno will be the quickest man of anyone. Oh, Rusinov's gone wide, and he's going to lose both positions, and that means Basseng is up into third place. It's fourth for Caca Bueno, fifth now for Roman Rusinov, with Stempentis challenging him, trying to get around the outside, and then the inside line for turn 4. Good stuff from Stempentis. The Estonian is up into fifth. Roman Rusinov is dropping back down the field like no one's business, because Cesar Ramos has just gone past him as well.
Yeah, I mean, one little almost misjudgment, error, whatever you wish to call it, from the Russian driver in turn 1, opened up the door for 4 cars to filter through, and once you lose your momentum as he did, it was never going to be a real overtaking manoeuvre. So
just seen Stefan Landman given a drive-through penalty for a pit stop infringement. I wonder if that was him going over the white line on pit exit, as
well,
you spotted.
he certainly, I mean, he did go over the white line at pit lane exit, albeit at the last foot of it, but that, if he caught it and was caught on camera, would have been reviewed, and maybe there was something else in the pit lane. Let's watch again and see. And Marc Basseng just ran out of road. He just on the inside. He couldn't turn the wheel because he knew if he did something aggressive, the car would probably spin. Caca Bueno had been watching that all the way down the straight, expecting something to happen.
Into the pits then comes Maximilian Goetz. I thought they might have kept him out for longer, but I suppose they've got a 13.2 second advantage over Harry Procek. Look, there's the race leader in the pits, and then we're still waiting. Here comes Procek, you can hear him coming, and he dives into the pit lane to hand over to Jeroen Bleekemolen. So that means Marc Basseng is going to move into the lead of the race now, and it's all about the pit stops. We've seen good ones from HDP and Grasser so far this season. We've also seen slow ones from the pair of them. There is Bleekemolen waiting, Procek coming in. But how is the HDP pit stop getting on? That's going to be the first to head out of the pits as they climb out and swap drivers.
It's a bit of a skill to do this, Harry Procek. The more difficult task to unwrap himself around the crash structure in the car. Getting in, you can sort of get your legs and then slide in. Procek runs clear the back of the car to make sure there's no issues, as they suffered from last time. The Mercedes is rolling. The Lamborghini's off its jacks, so it's going to be running. So it's a good stop from both teams, and it's almost, you have to say, fractionally to the advantage of the Grasser team.
We'll see what happens. They're about to come out of the pits now, and we'll see how...
It was 9 seconds before the pit stop. It's not 9, well, maybe it is by the time he gets down to the white line. So it probably is pretty much even, Stevens.
It was 12 seconds, and he's just crossed the line now, and that is 13 seconds, I make that, between the two cars heading out. But look how busy it is behind. Alex Zanardi is side by side there with, I think, Stefan Ortelli now in the WRT Audi, and Ortelli has squeezed him out, and he has taken the position. And there's Thomas Enger coming out, and so that must have been a slow pit stop from Reiter, because they've lost a number of positions again. Enger is now behind the likes of Alex Zanardi. Here's our race leader, though, meanwhile, Marc Basseng, yet to make his pit stop, and he's probably going to stay out for as long as possible before handing over to his amateur teammate Alessandro Latifi. And there are our top 3 on the road at the moment. Caca Bueno running strongly, up in second for the time being, but they haven't made these pit stops. But that man there, Stempentis, really good job from him so far as Bueno comes in, and he'll hand over to Sergio Jimenez. But Stempentis in the McLaren has done a great job. Look at this onboard.
Yeah.
Caca Bueno.
Yeah, just watching those cars coming over turn 15, the crest. McLaren looks the most skitterish of all 3 cars. BMW looks really well planted, lots of downforce. So the speed in the McLaren clearly is not just in its...
Oh, very close.
Was that?
That was very close between the 27 car, I think, of Sasha Halleck heading out, and the BMW coming in, so that will no doubt compromise the BMW, and it could see another penalisation for the 27 car, because that seemed to me to be an unsafe release. There's There's Sergio Jimenez getting strapped in by Caca. Shuts the door with probably a bit of frustration by the looks of things. Into the pits also is Enzo E to hand over to René Rast. Surely even René Rast's miracle recovery drives can't help them out this afternoon.
No, you're going to need really a safety car intervention to get this field all packed up together again, unless there's something unforeseen. Don't expect it. So a lot of work going on in the pits, and Audi's still trying to get that car off the jacks, just the drop now.
This is big trouble. This is big trouble for the Zero car. Jimenez is not moving anywhere, and he's lost a number of positions. Now Alex Zanardi's on the attack, trying to go past Stefan Ortelli into the first corner, holds the inside line. Ortelli runs way off the circuit. Zanardi's still there on the inside, and he gets through. Alex Zanardi passing Stefan Ortelli.
Irrepressible. You couldn't imagine anybody but Alex Zanardi trying to make a manoeuvre like that on someone as competitive as Stefan Ortelli, but both drivers gave each other room to work. I mean, I'm sure Ortelli didn't do it voluntarily, but he realised that Zanardi is there and he's not going to give it up. Remember, the BMW has got good grip, that's where its strength lies. It's not at top speed, but he's sliding him around into turn 5 there. Does that give Ortelli a chance to get a run back up the hill and into turn 6, then through into the right-hand turn 7?
Doesn't look like it, not quite close enough, Stefan Ortelli, and they've got Thomas Enger.
That's the car I'm going to watch, because Thomas Enger has got a quick car, and he will try and make progress. He doesn't want to get bogged down behind the back of Zanardi, who may well be holding up the Ortelli, and there we see the McLaren finally in.
Yep, Sten Pentis handing over to the New Zealander Chris van der Drift, and there is Sten shutting the door and trying to create as little collisions as possible as the car gets ready to head out. Just the front, right, left to go. It'll be interesting to see where they come out. So we will now see the HTP Mercedes going through and retaking the lead of the race now. Oh no, Marc Bassain's still out. He hasn't left the pits. And it's all very close in there, and that cost Chris van der Drift time in the Biotech McLaren. He had to wait for the Grasser Lamborghini and one of the Royal BMWs to head out as well. So through there comes Jeroen Bleekemolen. Here come the BMW Team Brazil cars, and they're going to be, look at them all queued up behind Stefano Colombo at the wheel of the Royal BMW. So they've lost a reasonable amount of time there, Sten Pentis and Chris van der Drift. They're now back behind their teammate, Giorgio Pantano, and behind Nicky Meyer-Melnhoff and Marcus Winkelhock. So that has really not gone well for the 61 Biotech McLaren. Real shame, because they were looking strong.
Stefan Ortelli, I think, has got a problem, because he's dropping away from the tail of Alex Zanardi in the BMW, and this brought Thomas Enger right into play. So he's going to be looking to make a manoeuvre to get ahead of the Audi of Ortelli as the car stream their way through turn 4, up the hill, and then down into the braking at 5.
So Marc Bassain staying out once again, so this will be his last lap around, I imagine, before handing over to his AM teammate in that Pro-Am pairing, but he's giving them a very, very strong chance of a good result. Their best result so far this season came in the last race in Slovakia, and they'll be looking to keep up that performance. This is going to be a reasonably straightforward manoeuvre, I think, for Marcus Winkelhock to pass Sasha Halek, or maybe not. A little bit of a touch as they come through the left-hander.
I think you want to revise that view as they come. This is a different group of cars coming up the hill now into turn 11. Again, this group, look at the contact that's taking place, almost just goes the other way, cuts back one way, then drives up the inside into turn 13, gets the place this time, and that's a bit of good work from Marcus Winkelhock. He's thought through where he needed to be on the racetrack to ensure that he got through cleanly on the entry to the corner, rather than having to battle mid-corner or on the exit.
Well, the frustration for them is that this 27 Lamborghini has been through the pits 3 times and is running last of all our runners with Sasha Halek at the wheel, so that'll be frustrating for them to be losing time behind that machine as their cars come across the line. Bassain still out there, he'll be coming into the pits soon, as will Francisco Mora. There are 2 cars that have yet to make their mandatory pit stop change. No, and Sergei Afanasiev, he hasn't come back in for a pit stop change either. Jeroen Bleekemolen, and the gap between he and Max Buch is 11.8 seconds, and we'll keep an eye on what sort of lap times those guys are churning out. They're currently 4th and 5th, but it will be 1st and 2nd once everyone has made their mandatory pit stop. Surely Bassain, he might have time for another, no, not quite. So he comes into the pits now to hand over to his teammate Alessandro Latifi. Will Francisco Mora stay out there, or will he be able to get one more lap in? I don't think he will.
No, probably not, but I think the key to all this is now that the thing has filtered its way through. We've got Maximilian Buch in the lead in effect, and second place Jeroen Bleekemolen. All Maximilian Buch's got to do is we see a good move up the inside.
Giorgio Pantano initially going past, and then Marcus Winkelhock following through as they pass Stefano Colombo.
Yeah, but all I was going back to Buch and to make Jeroen Bleekemolen, he's got a big task. He's got to run down the Mercedes. All the Mercedes has got to do is judge his pace against that of the Lamborghini, and the 11-second advantage that he enjoys is going to be something almost disappointing.
Into the pits there we just saw coming Francisco Mora. So there's our race leader coming down into the first corner. Maximilian Buch has retaken the lead of the race then. And there is the 71 Sports and New Mercedes that decided to come in. Now where is Alessandro Latifi going to come out? Across the line now comes Laurens Vanthoor, so it's going to be close between he and Vanthoor. So essentially it's going to come out in fourth position, because Vanthoor goes through. So I think that's third place for the number 1 Audi, fourth place for Alessandro Latifi. That's very impressive stuff from the Phoenix Audi squad. They've done a good job this afternoon.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
far.
a good job, in fact, is largely due to the driver, Marc Bessang, staying out late, using the clear track and using the ability to run again at a pace that he can extract from his Audi. Hands over to Alessandro Latifi in fourth place. Whether Latifi has got what it takes to consolidate that, it depends just how close behind fifth place is.
72 car currently in the hands of Luis Silva, running down in 18th position at the moment. And he is third in the Pro-Am standings as he makes his way around. There's our race leader, the 84 car, Maximilian Buch, and they are also leading the championship. Well, Buch isn't, but his teammate Maximilian Goetz is. The pit window is now closed, and really this is going to be a 25-minute, I mean, maybe not cruise for Max Buch, but he's got a good 12-second advantage over that man there, Jeroen Bleekemolen, in second place.
Yeah, we queried the decision for the 84 Mercedes Maximilian Goetz. He came in relatively early in that 10-minute pit stop window to give the car over to Maximilian Buch. Maybe that was a good judgment, maybe we weren't aware of.
Well, they did that yesterday, of course, and gained a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, it is about getting in, getting out cleanly, and it's also about where you actually rejoin the track, so that when you come onto track with fresh tyres, you can get the maximum benefit from those. And in those early 3-4 laps in clear traffic, you can do a lot of good work.
Now this is a battle with Alex Zanardi right in front of Stefan Otelli and Thomas Enger behind. And I mean, you look at the quality of the Blancpain GT Sprint field, and you have to say this is a good example of it. Two former Formula 1 racers with a Le Mans winner sandwiched in between them, all doing battle over fifth position. So Zanardi is fifth in the Royal BMW, sixth is Stefan Otelli in that black WRT Audi, and seventh is Thomas Enger in the orange Lamborghini from T-Drive.
Surprisingly, I thought maybe Thomas Enger would have been able to make better progress, but he's seemingly unable to do anything about Otelli. And I think Otelli now he feels he's seen enough of the back of Zanardi's BMW. I think he feels it's time to try a manoeuvre. Certainly closing up to him into turn 3, looks down the inside into turn 5, and it's a very long way he's come from behind, but he makes the move stick. Can Zanardi make the cut back? No. Thomas Enger's going to think about a manoeuvre now, not through the left-hand turn 6, but dive down the inside into turn 7. It's a risky place to do it. Chooses not to.
So that's fifth place now for Stefan Otelli in the WRT Audi, sixth place for Alex Zanardi, with Thomas Enger still there in seventh. René Rast has just set the fastest first sector of anyone. He's right up behind Marcus Fingerlock in the battle over eighth place, but Thomas Enger is the next man to try and attack Zanardi in the BMW. BMWs haven't been particularly strong here. It's not a circuit that suits them that well, and Zanardi's done well to be running this high up the order. The second highest BMW is his teammate Stefano Colombo, who's down in 11th place. Through the left-hander, Thomas Enger trying to get a good run out and find a way through, but he's not quite close enough yet.
No, but he's going to have to wait. He's just going to have to be patient, because the place where he's going to have the benefit is now. Acceleration off turn 14, try to get into position into turn 15, and on the exit, the BMW is good on the exit, a lot of downforce. The Lamborghini also good, but stretching the difference the way the BMW stretched that little advantage through the downhill double right-hand corner.
Across the line they come to complete the 20th lap of this race. 22 minutes to go in the Blancpain Sprint Series at Algarve. And this is the battle over sixth position. Thomas Enger, the man who took pole position yesterday morning, chasing down Alex Zanardi.
Now he's going to think about, well, I saw Otelli make a nice little move one lap ago. All the work started here on the exit of turn 4. Took a big gamble coming from a long way behind Alex Zanardi to dive down the inside. Zanardi gave him room to make the manoeuvre again. Well, could I say that again, just to say he could think about going down the inside?
Thomas Enger does it. He goes through then past Alex Zanardi and is up into sixth position. He will start to chase down Stefan Otelli now, and that'll be interesting if they can close in on Alessandro Latifi, because Latifi is currently in fourth spot, but he's the AM in the Pro-Am pairing there, and so Otelli and Enger may well be able to close in on him in the remaining 21 minutes of the race. Caca Bueno and Sergio Jimenez are under investigation for a pit stop infringement, and here's a look up the inside. This is Mateus Stumpf going past Francisco Mora and moving up into 16th place. No, my apologies, it's they've swapped over, so it's Piquet going past Mora's teammate, which is Paulo Pinheiro, and that's the move for 16th position.
And Pinheiro almost sort of was shocked by suddenly having Nelson Piquet Jr. diving down the inside, and he sort of went, oh, turned left, and then gathered it all back up again.
So there is Nelson Piquet Jr. up into 16th position now. So 15th and 16th for the two Brazilian BMWs, having started together on the 5th row of the grid. And now this is a battle with Chris van der Drift, currently in 11th place. And this is the HDP Mercedes behind that's still a lap down. So this is still just Lucas Stoltz now at the wheel, trying to unlap himself as he goes through the order. Now René Rast is right up behind Marcus Winkelhock in the battle for 8th position. The two Audi's doing battle, the Phoenix Audi ahead of the WRT Audi, and they're both, I think, closing in on Alex Zanardi. Yes, they were about a second quicker than Zanardi on that, no, 2 seconds quicker than Zanardi on that last lap, so it won't be long before the Audis are right up behind the BMW.
Absolutely not, and you know that these two Audi drivers, basically nothing to choose between them, but we have seen inspirational moments come from René Rast in the last number of events, and if anybody's going to drag a performance on the closing stages of a race, you have to look to René Rast. But Marcus Winkelhock has just about won as many races in one of these Audis as René Rast does.
A real pair of Audi aces then down towards the right-hander of turn 8, then starting to climb up the hill. Both of them, as we say, closing in on the back of Alex Zanardi in 7th place. There's Nicky Meyer-Maldon. he's always got some energy, hasn't he?
Something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he's just such an enthusiast. He loves his motorsport so much. And when things don't go right for him, he gets very emotional about it and expresses it emotionally.
Thomas Enger, meanwhile, is closing in on Stefan Ortelli for 5th place. Not really close enough yet, but he has taken half a second out of him in the first 2 sectors alone. Now, looking to the outside is René Rast. Tries to turn in to get a bit of a cut back in the battle with Winkelhock. Down towards the final corner they come, and Rast is tucked right underneath that rear spoiler.
Watch through turn 15, watch the camera shot. Both cars stable, of course the Audi behind, René Rast car losing a bit of front downforce as they drop down into the compression on the edge of the 15, but he's got a run going, but Marcus Winkelhock ain't going to give it up easy. That is absolutely certain.
And they are now both just 1.2 seconds behind Alex Zanardi in front. So it's 1.2 seconds from Zanardi to Winkelhock and 0.4 seconds from Winkelhock to Rast. There you can see the three of them all starting to close in on one another for 7th position. It's just a second between Ortelli and Eng in the battle over 5th place, and they're now just 3.5 seconds behind Alessandro Latifi for 4th. So all the battles are coming together quite nicely in the remaining 18 minutes of the race here in Portimao.
René Rast ran pretty wide on the exit of turn 4. He needs to be aware of that, because if he gains any time or gains an advantage, that will be noted. So this battle, 3 cars, Alex Zanardi with Marcus Winkelhock as close as he's going to get without losing his own momentum. And René Rast is now going to be thinking beyond Marcus Winkelhock, thinking about what's Zanardi going to do, where is he going to be potentially holding up Winkelhock, and where can I take my car, position it in such a way, in a way you can see the way he's beginning to do so as he came through turn 9, to reposition his car from what would be maybe his normal line, to give him that opportunity to get a run on Winkelhock.
3 cars flash past, all in the battle over 7th place. Alex Zanardi leading the way in that 33-row BMW. He's had a reasonably good season so far, Zanardi. A few difficulties here and there, but the highlight being his return to Brands Hatch, where he picked up a 5th place finish in the main race, having started down at the back of the grid. That was a really strong performance. Look at that sideways as they came through the final corner from Marcus Winkelhock, and he's going to be right behind the BMW. The BMW is good through that final corner though, and you can see how quickly they've been closing in on Zanardi over the last 3 laps there.
Yeah, I mean, Winkelhock now putting his nose into the mirror of the BMW. Well, the BMW is strong, is in turn 15. It's got a lot of downforce. The car looks the most stable of all. Of course, following behind René Rast, he's getting all the dirty air off, not the bit. Oh, up the inside. Well, not far enough up to think about it, but Rast is. He's going to have a little look now, because he's going to be in position as he comes out of turn 4 to have a look down the inside into turn 5. So that's the opportunity that Rast has been waiting for, It's a question of whether Marcus Winkelhock is going to give him the opportunity to do so. Not this time. Goes
Here
to the
comes
outside.
Winkelhock. Oh, that's very, very bold, and he forces his way past Zanardi more than anything. Zanardi had to give him space because Winkelhock was coming whether he liked it or not. Zanardi a little look in the mirrors as he wonders whether René Rast is going to go past him as well, and the answer is yes, around the outside. So that is now Winkelhock up into 7th place with Rast into 8th.
Good motor racing from 3 professional drivers. Well done by Marcus Winkelhock into turn 5. Great job by René Rast in and around the outside in turn 7. Not a corner you see anybody really attempting that manoeuvre on. So Alex Zanardi has had to concede to the pace of the 2 Audis as they continue their battle now for what would be 7th place.
Yep, absolutely. And this is, meanwhile, Alessandro Latifi up in 4th place. Right behind him is Stefan Ortelli. So Ortelli has really closed in on Latifi as they were making their way through the traffic. And so we've now got a 3-car train for 4th position because Thomas Enger is coming as well. Maximilian Buch is still leading this race. 13 seconds clear of Jeroen Bleekemolen with Laurens Vanthoor running in 3rd. And they're all lapping at a pretty similar pace. Vanthoor actually is the quickest of all of them. He's only 5.5 seconds behind Bleekemolen, but with 15 minutes to go, I think that's going to be a bit of a tough ask. But this is Alessandro Latifi leading the Pro-Am class. That's their main focus, but they'd love a strong performance. And it's those two... no, it's not their teammates, is it? It's just Marc Masseng's teammate. We'll see how soon it'll be that Winkelhock joins the party. But out now they come. Is this going to be an opportunity for Ortelli down into turn 5? We've seen him make a few moves. Latifi knows it. The Anglo-Italian covers the inside line and then heads back to the outside line. Here comes Ortelli, late on the brakes, gets the job done, and that was he's just so committed, Ortelli. He goes for it, he goes for it.
Yeah, I mean, that's good motor racing. You make your commitment and you stick with it, and Latifi gave him the room. He made it as tough as he could, but he saw that Ortelli was coming down the inside, and once somebody has launched themselves down the inside, to try and shut the door is only going to end up with contact and positions lost to both cars, maybe even being exited from the event.
So how quickly now can Thomas Enger get past Alessandro Latifi? Up towards the crest of the hill they come, and he'll be hoping to get past pretty quickly, because otherwise Ortelli will start to scamper clear in that 4th position.
Watch up into turn 13. That's where Thomas Enger might have a little thought about diving up, but it's been covered by Latifi, so he was wise to that particular move from the Czech driver. So again, it's frustration. He's going to go the long way around turn 14. He's not far enough forward, but he can make the cut back and try and get underneath the Audi as they come out of 14. He's hanging on the outside. I'm not quite sure the point of doing so. Again, Latifi being very aggressive in his defence. That's something that, again, personally don't like to see, but young guys, amateurs, they're here at the races.
Out onto the start-finish straight they come. This battle, which is over 5th position. Alessandro Latifi defending along the inside line. Thomas Enger trying to find a way past, looks to the inside, he's got the overlap, and he will surely manage to get through now into 5th place. Latifi tries to carry more speed, or he was going for the cutback, but he just got out of shape.
Yeah.
And Roman Rusinov very happy with that.
Yeah, that was a good move. And I mean, Thomas Enger, I think he played a bluff on Latifi, because I think Latifi thought that Enger was going to go back to the left, and therefore that would give Latifi the line, but in fact Enger hung out to the right, tight against the pit wall, and got track position, and Latifi wisely then accepted that his position was gone. So Thomas Enger able now to make progress, and he's going to move up into 5th place, but Ortelli is a little bit further up the road.
Now this is the battle, and René Rast has got past. So René Rast is past Marcus Winkelhock and up into 7th position by the looks of things. There's the number 2 car ahead of the number 6 car. They were in the other order when they crossed the line. So Rast has found the move, and he is now up into 7th place, about 3.5 seconds behind Alessandro Latifi, so they may be able to catch him before the end of the race as well.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of overtakes into turn 5. It's the sort of place of choice on the circuit. It's relatively easy to do, and if you do make a mistake, you don't get penalised too heavily for so. But Marcus Winkelhock has had to concede that position eventually to René Rast. The gap's still very much the same. The pace these two drivers have been running at almost identical, but just that one moment when Marcus Winkelhock was vulnerable, René Rast jumped and got the position.
Maximilian Buch still leads in the HDP Mercedes. There he is. He is 12.2 seconds clear of Jeroen Bleekemolen in the Grasser Racing Lamborghini in 2nd place. So this, in theory, if it stays like this, will extend their championship lead by 7 points, which will take them to 23 points clear. And there is Max Buch Great to have him back in the championship after missing out in Slovakia, so he can't really win the championship, but I'm sure, despite the points deficit, if Gertz wins the title, it'll feel like a championship.
Yeah,
for
I mean the contribution that Max Buch has made to this partnership over a number of years, whether it's with Gertz or other drivers, is very important. He's an outstanding young German GT race driver, and I mean, there are reasons why he hasn't been in the car. We didn't need to go into them at this particular point, but he would have been an asset to that car the 2 races where he wasn't available.
There's your own Blancpain, who's an asset to any car. The Grasser team can't give him enough plaudits, really.
No, so. I mean, what Blancpain has done is take a relatively small family-run team and given it all the expertise and experience. And of the 2 Lamborghinis, the Reiter car and the Grasser car, this is the car, Blancpain behind the wheel, that looks, well, this is the Audi in fact, looks the better of the 2 cars on track. So whatever work Blancpain does, it seems to just give that little bit more compliance to the Grasser Lamborghini.
Yeah, that was the 3rd place Laurens Vanthoor WRT Audi we saw. Then we've got the 4th place Stefan Ortelli, with Thomas Enger reasonably far behind now in the bright orange Lamborghini. Ortelli, defending champion, of course, of the Blancpain Sprint Series, winning it last year with Laurens Vanthoor, but I'd be surprised if either of them are able to win the title this season, unfortunately for them. Less than 10 minutes to go here at Algarve, and now Alessandro Latifi is under pressure. He's got René Rast up behind him as they come down towards the first corner, and following in is Marcus Winkelhock in the Phoenix Audi. So 3 Audis going nose to tail, and Latif might be able to help out his teammate here, but I don't think so, because straight up the inside goes René Rast.
I mean, that was after you, René. He was not going to impede the progress of René Rast, and whether that's team assist or whether he just has got enough performance left in the car. But clearly you could see in turn 1 René Rast was just taking lumps out of the gap between the 2 cars.
It won't be team assist because they're in different teams to an extent, but it will potentially be just the thought that they're in the Pro-Am class.
Yes, and therefore
it doesn't matter where they finish.
It's more important for René Rast to get more points. Latif is in a strong position in his particular class, so he's not really fighting that particular Audi.
But he's fighting his teammate Audi, which is quite interesting. If there was going to be team orders, it would be between these 2. There we go. He figures it out at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got an issue on the car, or he may have just run out of gas himself. You never know. It's a physical racetrack. It's a lot of concentration. It's warm, even though there is that strong wind blowing down. It is a tough circuit to drive.
8.5 minutes left here at Algarve. René Rast is now up into 6th position then. 7th for Marcus Winkelhock. 8th place is Alessandro Latif, with Zanardi closing in on him as well, potentially. What was the last lap from Zanardi? A 47.0, so not really closing in too much. The man to watch out for might be Stef Dusseldorp. He's lapping pretty quickly, and closing in on Chris van der Drift and Giorgio Pantana, the 2 Bitec McLarens in front of him in 10th and 11th position. So that's one to keep a wide eye on as across the line they come. There is Zanardi cresting the hill in that Royale BMW. Maybe he can find his way up into 8th place before the end of this race. Down into turn number 1 again, where the circuit drops away, using the quicker version of the first 2 corners as opposed to the sort of hairpin and chicane, as we go on board with Zanardi then.
Yes, down into turn 3, takes a conventional apex, doesn't use all the racetrack on the outside because he wants to get his apex correct into turn 4, runs the car slightly over the curbing on the outside within the limits very comfortably, accelerates down, then hard on the brakes down into the major overtaking part of this racetrack, turn 5, wide on the entry, relatively wide on the exit, and you can still use the bit of green painted concrete, then through the curve of 6, not really a corner, then tricky into turn 7. That manoeuvre by Ortelli around the outside of Zanardi was pretty impressive indeed. And then into turn 8, where the off camber climbing skyward, and then you drop down this roller coaster downhill, much steeper than it seems on camera. Turn 9, flat out, then you're looking skyward. Where's my apex? Where are my reference points? Well, there aren't really very many. It's just really by lap you get familiar with where you need to be on the racetrack. Again, drop downhill into turn 12, then the same issue, climbing uphill, looking skyward for turn 13. Another place you can pass, but somewhere that we don't see many overtakes taking place. 14 is really just follow my leader. Off camber again, long corners, almost like a double apex corner. Then the short sprint straight between the exit of 14 into this wonderful, again, turn 5. The car gets light on the apex, floats out to the outside. The BMW with the downforce it's got doesn't use so much of the outside of the track as others we've seen. And for Alex and Audi, if he had another 50 or so horsepower, he would be very happy indeed.
Laurens Vanthoor in third place is closing in very quickly on the second place car of Jeroen Bleekemolen. That last lap he took 0.8 of a second out of him, and the gap is just 1.8 seconds between second and third. So Bleekemolen and Vanthoor is certainly one to keep an eye on. There it is, Bleekemolen with Vanthoor in the number 1 WRT Audi closing in on him pretty rapidly, and they'd be very desperate to get a second place.
They would like a second place indeed, and I think that Jeroen Bleekemolen hasn't just backed off. He may have an issue. Maybe the tyre situation doesn't work so favourably for him in the second part of this one, our championship race. And Laurens Vanthoor, ever a trier. I mean, some people say he's the quickest guy in an Audi. Some people say René Rast is. I think in terms of sheer single lap speed, Laurens Vanthoor might just edge it. But with René Rast in an Audi, whether it's in a 1 hour, 3 hour, 6 hour, 24 hour race, tough guy to beat.
So we're on board with Laurens Vanthoor, defending champion, coming through the right-hander of turn 14. Now let's listen to him into 15. Just the smallest of lifts as they came in.
Just breathe. You literally you come off. It's not actually you don't come off the throttle. You just reduce the weight of force of your foot on the pedal, and that's just enough to check the car to make sure you're not overly committed. And if it did get sideways, as we saw Enger yesterday, well, I mean, it sometimes is skill, sometimes it's good fortune that you get the car straightened up again.
Just 0.8 of a second between them. Bleekemolen lost 1.1 seconds on that last lap. So what is going on with that Grasser Lamborghini? Because
grip, or lack
he was
of
only. Well, no, I think it's Vanthoor going quick as opposed to Bleekemolen going slow, because they're both. Bleekemolen's lapping similar to Max Buch out in the lead of the race.
Well, in that case, then Laurens Vanthoor is absolutely blinding if he's pulling just simply pace that he's doing to run down Jeroen Bleekemolen in these closing minutes. 4 minutes of the race to go, and that's going to be
in fact, it's
2 laps. This lap and 2 more.
Yeah, Vanthoor and René Rast are the 2 quickest men on the circuit. They're the only men in the 45s. Everyone else is in the mid to high 46s. So WRT perhaps have really found a way of making these tyres last to the end of the race a little bit better, perhaps. 3.5 minutes to go.
I think what it is, the way the Audi is set up, it tends to be a sort of a front-end car. So when tyre goes away, tyre grip goes away, then you get a more natural balance coming into the car, and it might just be that the balance that Laurens Vanthoor has got is simply an easier balance and a more competitive balance than we're seeing from Jeroen Bleekemolen.
So through the right-hander, how hard is Bleekemolen going to fight for this second position? That's going to be very interesting. How hard will he be able to fight because of the lack of grip that he's got? But if he loses down to third place, that's another 3 points that he will lose out on in the championship fight, which would take the gap up to 26 points with 2 rounds to go. So 3 minutes left. Now they're on to the penultimate lap of the race here in Algarve. On board with Laurens Vanthoor as he chases down Jeroen Bleekemolen for second position. He's been reeling him in for the for the whole of the second stint really, and now he's up behind the back of the Lamborghini. It's still Max Buch leading the way in the HTP Mercedes.
So right, I can't get any closer, and he's going to look and think, have I got a chance? If I'm going to do something, I'm going to have to be maybe either committed or brave or both. And that's going to be down into turn 5, runs very wide. Again, is that gaining him an opportunity to come off the corner slightly quicker? He's going to look down the inside.
Oh, he's going very late in the day as Laurens Vanthoor. Bleekemolen was out of shape on the brakes, but Vanthoor gets the job done, and he's up into second place. The Grasser team dropped to third.
If I was part of the Grasser team, I would say he gained an advantage getting all 4 wheels off the racetrack. Did he disrespect the corner and gain a benefit and therefore give himself the opportunity to launch himself down the inside? Question, luckily enough, we don't have to answer.
So on board we go with Jeroen Bleekemolen, who's just dropped down to third position with 2 minutes to go here at Algarve. 12.5 seconds is still the advantage for Maxi Buch up at the front in the lead of the race in the HTP Mercedes. As they now climb the hill up towards turn 13 and then into 14. Bleekemolen surely won't be able to stick with Vanthoor in front because of the pace that we've seen. Across the line to start the final lap. comes our race leader, Maximilian Buch, in the 84 Mercedes. It's been a commanding performance from the Mercedes squad. It was mainly that first stint from Maximilian Goetz, which was absolutely outstanding. And it looks like they're going to win the championship race for only the second time this season. They won the main race in Nogaro in the opening weekend. They haven't been on the top step of the podium since then. What a time to get it, to extend their advantage to 26 points with only 2 rounds remaining. Down towards the hairpin of 5 they come. So the gap at the moment is 16 points in the championship, but they will get 10 more points for winning the race. So Max Goetz will end up with 26 points ahead of Harry Proschik and Jeroen Bleekemolen. Bleekemolen was still reasonably close to Van Thor, but not quite close enough to get through. Now this is the perhaps contentious moment we were talking about earlier with John, is that Laurens Van Thor here takes so much speed through the left-hander, goes all 4 wheels over, whereas the Lamborghini was pretty much on the track, and using that momentum got up the inside into turn number 5. Might be something the stewards have a look at. But through the penultimate corner now is about to come Maximilian Buch. He and Max Goetz had a great start to the season in Nogaro, and they have led the championship almost non-stop since then. As they come out of the final corner now, Maximilian Buch and Max Goetz are going to take the main race victory here in Algarve. They're going to extend their championship lead as the Mercedes wins in Portugal. The checkered flag falls. Max Goetz and Max Buch win. Delight for Max Goetz on the pit wall, punching his fist as Max Buch takes victory. Second place is going to be Laurens Van Thor across the line. Third place then for Jeroen Bleekemolen. So a 26-point margin now at the top of the championship, with still plenty left on the table. Out of the final corner comes this battle for 4th place, which Stefan Ortelli has just held on to, ahead of Thomas Enger in 5th position. It's going to be 6th place for René Rast. 7th place across the line is going to be Marcus Finkelhock. Here's our Pro-Am winner, Alessandro Latifi. He's going to come through in 8th position, with Zanardi in 9th, and Giorgio Pantano completing the top 10 for the Vitek squad. Stef Dusseldorp got past Chris van der Drift on that final lap. And here's Dominic Baumann. He and Thomas Jaeger having to pit early on, and they can only finish in 13th position. Stefano Colombo and David Fuminelli are going to win the Silver Cup. Here they come across the line. There's Silver Cup victory for them, despite finishing in 15th place. But we had 2 Silver Cup cars eliminated on the second lap of the race. Amani Ibrahim coming together with Vincent Abril. Lucas Stoltz and Lucas Wolff were ending up in the gravel trap for a while. So Stefano Colombo and David Fuminelli taking Silver Cup victory almost by default. That's not too harsh a thing to say. But there's our race winner, Maximilian Buch, making his way around to the pits, and that means that Max Goetz's advantage at the top of the championship goes up to 26 points. Really strong performance from Max Goetz, you have to say. Commanding, built up a 13-second advantage by the time they got to the round of pit stops, 25 minutes into the race. Maxi Buch got in the car, and I mean the job was done really. In that first stint he just had to bring it home, which he did magnificently. As he makes his way back to the pit lane here in Algarve. Our next race weekend is going to be in Zolder in October, as we take to the Belgian circuit on the weekend of the 18th and 19th of October. So just over a month away. There's Jeroen Bleekemolen, clearly frustrated with a 3rd place finish, and it'll be interesting to hear from John, well from Jeroen, but when he's with John, why exactly that was, why he felt the pace got away from him. But as I say, it was more the pace of Van Thor in the WRT Audi, because he was quicker than anyone else. It wasn't Bleekemolen dropping off. As you hear him pull into the pit lane, milking all the plaudits out on the slowing down lap, Maximilian Buch. 2 German drivers are going to be on the top step of the podium, and for only the 2nd time this season, no, third time this season, we'll hear the German national anthem. And frustration for Jeroen Bleekemolen, and he is very angry about the excessive use of track limits by the sounds of it. Apologies if any of that came through to you, but Bleekemolen very frustrated and very irate. But out of the car climbs Maximilian Buch. He and Max Goetz take victory. And we'll be hearing from them, no doubt, in a few moments' time after being victorious in the main race here at Algarve. A little bit of a chat between them. And as Max Buch takes off his helmet, we'll probably start with Maximilian Goetz with John Watson.
Max Goetz, great opening stint for you, got the lead, and from there on really looked very easy.
Yeah, it wasn't easy how it looks, you know, and the goal was to overtake Harry as soon as possible. We had new tires in the beginning of the race, so we have to take the advantage. And then luckily I overtook him just before safety car. And after safety car I was driving away because I could use the tires really good. And then, this was the key in the end.
You also made an early pit stop. Was there a reason for that, or was it just getting track position?
No, we tried to give Max the possibility to get used to it as soon as possible, because we know that Jerome was driving with new tires in this time. And in the end it was the right decision, because I was on the edge with my tires all the time. The pressure raised up a lot, and then in the end we managed quite well, because the gap in the end was the same like the before pit stop.
Well, Max Buch, great drive, got an advantage. When you were after the pit stops washed through, there was about a 12-13 second advantage, and all you had to do was just run at the pace of the Lamborghini.
Yeah, very good job from Maxi. From his side, it was just a pleasure to all the weekend long to drive with him, and with this kind of good car we had. And thanks to the team also, with this kind of car you are having so much joy to drive, and for me it was just bringing it home and to manage the gap, and everything was fine.
Well done you two, you made it look awfully easy this Sunday afternoon. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So victory for Max Buch and Max Goetz as they pose for photographs. And there is Jeroen Bleekemolen and Harry Procek getting interviewed for German television after their third place finish, and it'll be very interesting to see what Jeroen Bleekemolen has to say, because we saw him absolutely irate as he climbed out of the car. A third place finish means they lose ground to Max Goetz at the top of their championship. Let's hear from the second place finishers though. Laurens van Thor, he's with John.
Laurens, you got second place in the end, but maybe controversially?
How do you mean controversially?
I think your third place car is very unhappy about over exceeding track limits.
I think if you lose a game, you're always unhappy. I respect track limits the whole time, and whether you look on television or other cars who exceed track limits by a car length, I think you should rather be talking about that than me. I was behind him the first time, I had lost the downforce, had a small oversteer, and I went off throttle and I still went wide. I didn't get anything with it. We can look on the data, all the laps that I did. So that's not. I would have still overtaken him there even if I didn't arrive with the speed. So that's not the issue.
Excellent, well done.
Short and to the point with Laurens van Thor, and interesting to hear his side of that story. But we'll probably hear another side in a few moments' time with Jeroen Bleekemolen and Harry Procek. They won the qualifying race yesterday, started on pole position, held the lead, but Procek was passed in the early stages by Maximilian Goetz, and we can now hear from them. There with John.
Jeroen Bleekemolen, I've never seen you so angry before.
Yeah, I mean, I hate racing at these tracks because it's all about track limits, and we've been talking about it the whole weekend. You can go out with four wheels. They gave warnings, they called people in practice, and then when it really matters, in the end of the main race for the points and the prize money, Laurens, he just ran right twice in a row, and I can see it from the car, so I think the race director should be able to see it as well. And then he has a great run on the straight and get me into the next corner. He did a great move, and he's a great driver, so nothing to that, but it's not a fair way to overtake. I was always clean, always, every single lap, always with four wheels or two wheels in, so I don't think it's fair, and if they don't reverse it, I don't think, maybe he needs glasses or something.
Well, I mean, I've looked at it, I commented on it. I know that he was 4 wheels off the track on the exit of turn 4. But Laurens Vanthoor maintains he was still quicker than you and he would have made the pass anyway.
Yeah, but it's easy to say. I mean, the rules are the rules. You can go outside, and if you gain an advantage, it's very clear you should give it back. And he gained at least 3 or 4 tenths, because you can just go flat out, take it all the way, and he loses aero when he's behind me, so he's going to run wide if he carries the same speed. But it's racing, you know, that's part of racing. So I'm really, you know, upset if they don't do anything about it. The rules are the rules, and we have to play by them. And I did it the whole race, the whole weekend actually. I never went out with 4 wheels or with 2 wheels. So I don't know if they don't do it. I hope, yeah, you know, they can look into it at least.
Well, anyway, a great drive nonetheless. Harry, you had a good start, but you couldn't keep the Mercedes behind you once that safety car had gone in.
Yeah, the main problem was that he has new tires and I have used ones, and he was so much faster. And I think the last 3-4 races where I was always behind me, it was always fair. But in that case, it was so... I see he was so much faster that I think a normal race driver after 3-4 laps gets so angry that it makes no sense when I block him or what is possible. So this was okay, but what Sharon also say, the whole weekend we always keep in the lines, in the free practice, he make extra sessions for the drivers and so on, and then you see that the car he was a bit faster, Vanthoor for sure, but the last 1-2 laps, Mr. Blancpain, normally nobody overtakes him under normal conditions.
Thank you very much, and no swearing either. Thank you.
Yes, top job from Jeroen Bleekemolen and Harry Project, despite their frustrations managing to keep their language in check today. So Harry Project and Jeroen Bleekemolen, the 3rd place finish, but very strong stuff from Jeroen Bleekemolen, very precise as well. Here's a look at the results after 33 laps. Maximilian Buch and Maximilian Goetz taking victory and extending their championship advantage. 2nd place for Cesar Ramos and Laurens Vanthoor. Within 3rd spot, Harry Project and Jeroen Bleekemolen. Fabian Hamprecht and Stefan Ortelli came from 17th on the grid to finish up in 4th position. Roman Rusinov and Thomas Enger in 5th spot, a solid race from them. And also René Rast doing a great job to climb back up into 6th position after Enzo Eid had, we think, made contact with that number 1 Audi in the early stages. And then Marc Basseng and Alessandro Latifi winning Pro-Am. BMWs all in a row from 13th down to 16th position. Thomas Jaeger and Dominic Baumann there in 13th. After their issues with a spin early on and collision with their teammates, Lucas Wolff and Lucas Stoltz could only finish 17th, and it was that 15th place car of David Fuminelli and Stefano Colombo who were victorious in the Silver Cup. Amadi and Miguel Toril coming together with Vincent Abril in the opening laps, and they were forced out of the race. So victory for Max Buch and Max Goetz here in the Algarve. They'll soon be taking to the podium. There's Stefan Rattel, the boss of SRO, the championship organisers and promoters. Onto the top step of the podium come Maximilian Buch and Max Goetz. Victory for the 2 Germans in Portimao. 2nd place for Laurens Vanthoor and Cesar Ramos. And 3rd place for Jeroen Bleekemolen and Harry Project in the Grasser Racing Lamborghini, as they go onto the top step of the podium. And it's time for the national anthem. So the German national anthem for the HTP Motorsport squad. Renaud Dufour up there on the podium as well, representing the HTP team there on the right-hand side. It's the 3rd place trophies awarded to Harry Project and Jeroen Bleekemolen. John, you've just come back from the interrogation that it turned into.
The Audi was 4 wheels off the racetrack, and that's the point that Bleekemolen has been making. They stay within the white lines. Other drivers are not doing so. They're not saying they're abusing them, they're just saying they're not doing it. Consequently, they can gain an advantage. But on contemporary circuits that we race on, unless you want to put up your razor wire or something on the racetrack, apparently actually just learned from the race stewards that it is an incident that is being investigated.
So onto the top step of the podium, Maximilian Buch and Maximilian Goetz. They take victory here in the Algarve and the prize money that comes with it, and they now have a strong championship advantage as we head towards the next race in Zolder. And as you say, the incident is now under investigation between Laurens Vanthoor and Harry Prochik, but the champagne is sprayed. It's victory whatever for Max Buch and Max Goetz, but of course it's difficult to just penalise this event because it was high profile and we saw it on the telly.
Well, there are rules and regulations, and Formula One, GT racing, touring cars around the world have got to adhere to these regulations, and it applies here as much as anywhere else this weekend.
Hugs on the podium then for Buch, Goetz and Renaud Dufour after they take victory in a frantic race here in Algarve. So let's have a look back at it. Harry Prochik took the lead of the race, and in second place was Maximilian Goetz as he tried to wrestle the lead away. Prochik did his best to fend them off. It all got a bit busy in the middle of the pack, but soon Harry Prochik was under some extreme pressure. Everyone was safely through the first couple of laps, although Thomas Jaeger managed to pick up a puncture. He had to come into the pit, still recovered to finish in 13th place. But here was the battle. Prochik doing well to hang on, but in the end, Maximilian Goetz, with his fresh tyres, was able to get through.
Yeah, I mean, it was a clean pass down the inside. Harry Prochik did everything correctly, and he's been saying so all through the post-interviews. Here was the big controversial collision, and it was deemed that Sergei Afanathiev just shut the door on the sister Mercedes-Benz, and that was the penalty. He had to observe a drive-through penalty.
There were great scraps throughout the field. Vincent Abril and Aman Ibrahim had already come together to bring out the safety car, and then Roman Rusinov went wide at the first corner. He lost out to Marc Basseng, he lost out to Kaka Bueno, and he lost out to one of the WRT Audis as well, and then Bueno lost a lot of time in the pit stops. The battles continued. Zanardi and Ortelli side by side was a joy to watch. Thomas Enger would eventually join in their fun in the orange G-Drive Lamborghini, but Ortelli forced his way past Zanardi and took the place, and then a carbon copy manoeuvre next time around pretty much for Thomas Enger, and Zanardi kept getting shuffled down the field there at the hairpin as the BMW struggled. He'd done well in fact to get it so high up the order on a circuit that didn't really suit it. Stefan Ortelli took 4th place away from Alessandro Latifi, who also dropped back to finish in 8th place, but he continued on to win the Pro-Am class, and that was the big moment towards the end of the race. Laurens Vanthoor running wide. Jeroen Bleekemolen was furious, and so it'll be very interesting. That incident is under investigation, but Max Buch and Max Goetz are victorious here in Algarve. The next round is in Zolder. We'll see you then. So for those of you still with us, this is the Silver Cup podium, and it's victory for David Fuminelli and Stefano Colombo, rather by default in the end, because they finished down in 15th place, having to make 2 pit stops because they picked up a puncture as well in the early stages, and Lucas Stoltz and Lucas Wolff still come away with a decent amount of prize money despite having to spend a lap in the gravel trap.
Yes, and that damage to the car, well, we didn't think there was very much damage, but certainly the damage was caused once the impact had occurred, and stuck in the gravel trap trying to get out is your penalty, and that was proven to be not the fault of the Luca Wolff car. Probably it's a bittersweet result.
And now we move on to the Pro-Am category. Marc Basseng and Alessandro Latifi once again on the top step. An 8th place finish for them. They finished 7th last time out in Slovakia, but they win the Pro-Am class. And 2nd in the Pro-Am class on their Blancpain debut, Francisco Mora and Paolo Pinheiro. And 3rd for Stefan Landman and Sasha Halek in the Pro-Am categories. Basseng doing a good job in the early stages to have that car running as high as 4th. Well, it was as high as the lead of the race during the pit stop period, as we now hear the German national anthem for Phoenix Racing. So So victory in the Pro-Am class for Alessandro Latifi and Marc Basseng, the top step of the podium in Pro-Am once again for them. And Latifi is having a good start to his GT career. This is his first proper season. He's joined Phoenix to learn from the very experienced Marc Basseng, a winner of the Nürburgring 24 Hours, a winner of the GT1 World Championship previously. And Basseng actually is one GT racer who didn't start his career in single-seaters. He went straight into tin twaps in Seat Leons, I think it was, in Germany. And a handshake with Stefan Rattel as they receive 10,000 euros for winning the Pro-Am class, which is always a positive, as they hold it aloft. And their second place, Francisco Moro and Paolo Pinheiro, started in 21st place, finished the race in 18th position. And the champagne is handed out there on the podium, and it'll be a very pleasing afternoon's work for Alessandro Latifi and Marc Basseng, really making the Pro-Am category their own as they start to spray the champagne up there on the podium in the Pro-Am class here in the Blancpain Sprint Series. As we say, the next race will be in Zolder in the middle of October. Make sure you join us for that, because again, Zolder is one that always produces some excellent racing at a good old-fashioned race circuit. We certainly won't be having track limits discussions at Zolder.
That's funny, when you go to an old-school circuit, suddenly everybody respects the white lines. I wonder why. Is it because there might be a barrier just 2 feet from your door? I suspect it is.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for joining us this weekend here in the Algarve from John Watson and myself, Jack Nichols. Make sure you join us in the middle of October for the 6th round of the championship in Zolder.